Mackay and Dominic Calvert-Lewin leading their line. Their bench a little bit more stacked, really. Patterson, Virginia, Keane, Beto, O'Brien, Chamiti, Brozier, Lindstrom and Harrison Armstrong.
Thanks very much, Sam. Those lineups brought to you by Betfair. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. Divin Mbama only just turned 20 a couple of months ago. There are 4 on the bench who are teenagers, and if you add up a couple of those players' ages, the keeper Spike Brits and Jeremiah Simpson-Pusey comes to 4 years younger than Scott Carson, which is pretty incredible, and actually shows you a little bit of the state of Manchester City's squad. People go on about them having a big squad. They don't have a big squad. There's not a lot of players in it, so when a number of first-team players are out, it presents a problem to Pep Guardiola, and a problem he can't solve at this moment in time. And Danny Mills, former City player, what about the players that have been let go as well? Because if we look at Morgan Rogers, destroyed them for Villa last weekend. Cole Palmer ripping it up at Chelsea. Romeo Lavia by Leverkusen's Jeremy Frimpong will probably start for City right now. Dortmund's Jamie Bino-Gittins was in their academy for a couple of years as well. You've got others who might not feature for the first team. Pedro Porro was here, Liam Delap was here, Brahim Diaz, Taylor Harwood-Bellis, Champions League finalist Jadon Sancho, all on City's books. And I'm not saying they would all be good enough for City's first team, but City's results are terrible right now. So has Pep given enough young talent a pathway to the first team when you consider Silva's 30, Stones is 30, Gundogan and Walker are 34?
No, is the answer to that. Go through Pep's teams. So even when Pep has played Carabao Cup games or meaningless European games, has he ever played more than 2 youngsters in those teams? No. He's never made wholesale change. You know what, I'll just give all the youngsters a go. Even in those games where you think, well, there's no real need for City to win this game, they've already qualified, or whatever it is. Very, very rarely does he play more than 2 untried youngsters. You know, one of those youngsters might have had, 30, 40 games, whatever, so you can't really count them as such. So the conveyor belt of producing players for this football club isn't really where it should be. When you look at the players that have moved on, how good their academy is, how good their academy teams are, they've produced plenty of players for other teams, but not really for their own. And I disagree about the squad not being good enough or not being big enough. Diaz, Stones, Rodri are in this. Obviously, they're not Walker. That's 4 world-class, almost, international players. Kevin De Bruyne is available. Jack Grealish not here today. There are plenty of players. There are 1 or 2 players where you'd maybe want a couple more strength and depth, but on the whole, if they're all fit, it is an unbelievably strong squad.
Okay, and they're not, and there's a lot. I have this rather wild view that they should drop the admission prices while Rodri is out, because people would pay money to see him, and he's the Ballon d'Or winner.
So in that case, so therefore then you have to look at recruitment. Now, if you know that, and we all know that Rodri is so important, where was the backup for that? Fernandinho was incredibly important to Manchester City.
Well, it was meant to be Calvin Phillips, wasn't it?
Well, this is what I was going to go on to. So they looked at Fernandinho and thought he's not quite working. He's getting a bit older. He's dropping into centre half. He's magnificent. He's so integral to the way they play. We'll sign Rodri because he looks like he's going to be the next one. We need a backup for that. We'll sign Calvin Phillips. Disaster. Didn't work in any way, shape or form. So then where's the backup for Rodri within that? You've got to look at recruitment, and all the best teams are always looking at adding 2 or 3 players in the summer to strengthen the first 11. Did City do that this year in terms of their recruitment? No, they did not. They brought back Gundogan. They brought in Savinho, young player.
But, and you've got to remember that Gundogan was their player a year before, and Savinho was part of the City football group. So in terms of going outside the known quantities, they haven't gone anywhere for a little while in terms of purchasing players. I just wonder, with all of the uncertainty that is around Manchester City, whether or not that influenced the recruitment strategy in the summer. The fact that Chiki Bagiristan was clearly moving on, the fact that they'd identified that they probably needed to rebuild the team, and they've got a new sporting director coming in. And in order to sort of make sure that he could plan for the future, they didn't want to sign too many players that were then going to be associated with the club for 5, 6, 7 years, because you know how long contracts have to be now. And also then there was the cloud that was still hanging over him at the time about the future of the manager. Was he going to sign a new contract? Was he going to leave the next summer? They didn't want to, I don't think, spend a lot of money on rebuilding a team mid-flight, only for him to come to land and then disembark in the summer.
And that's what's caused a lot of the problems. And we talked about it earlier. Recruitment has been poor, in all honesty, in the last 18 months. It's not. Have they added to the? Have they made the first team squad, first team 11, better? Since Erling Haaland, what other player have they brought in and gone, yeah, he's made a massive difference?
No, you're right. And
I can't think of one.
Should we also question the strategy of letting so many youngsters go, or is that harsh? Because when Cole Palmer signed for a lot of money for Chelsea, he wasn't a regular first teamer. I think some Chelsea fans thought this is a bit of a risk. He's been better than anybody expected. Morgan Rogers, nobody thought he would be ripping it up at this point in the Premier League.
No, and
nobody thought he'd be delivering international.
But everybody delivers at different ages as well,
and that happens.
Matures slightly differently.
That happens. We've all been in football a long time.
So we can't blame Pep for that. Or should he have spotted it and thought, no, don't let him go.
Right, Cole Palmer is the interesting one, because clearly he's gone to Chelsea and he's been absolutely sensational.
Straight away.
And he's always had a massive talent. But Cole Palmer's a maverick. If you watch Cole Palmer against Everton, didn't track back once. Cole Palmer is very much an enigma, where he's a free spirit. Let him go and do his thing. He's a maverick. He just wants
So
to.
can't Pep accommodate that?
No.
Right.
It doesn't. How many players in
Even though he's really good?
How many teams in Pep's team just wander?
Is Jack Grealish still a maverick?
Even Messi wasn't allowed to be a maverick. Messi had to go play on the right wing at times. Messi had to work back. Messi had to do certain things for Guardiola.
But hold on,
and he is undoubtedly the best in the world.
I've seen these articles about Grealish being ruined as a player by Pep Guardiola. This is Grealish, who had a big contribution to a treble-winning season.
Yes, but he's a completely different player to what he came when he's at City, because he's far more disciplined. He stays out wide. I never see Jack Grealish get the ball and run at people. The worst thing I want as a fullback is for someone to pick the ball up and keep running at me. Doesn't matter if you run at me 50 times. You've only got to get past me twice and you'll create a goal-scoring chance. And every chance is that's in the back of the net. So the odds are stacked against you as the defender. All I see now is Jack Grealish cut inside, pass it sideways. As a defender, if I was Seamus Coleman playing against Grealish today, I'd be going,
Why does he do that?
Unbelievable.
Why does he pass
Because
it?
Guardiola has taught
And they
him.
won a treble with him doing that. What's your problem with it? Just because it's not exciting for you to watch?
It's not about being exciting. Look at the wingers now. City are the one thing you have to create is space, and you create that by stretching the game. And if you keep coming inside and become predictable, people learn how to play against it.
Well, the biggest problem they won in the last few seasons.
Yeah, but the biggest problem with it now, of course, is 9 defeats in 12 games. That's the issue. So
but
that's why
is that down to Jack Grealish?
No, it's not. It's not.
No,
but
that's an example
But this
of
is
the
a
automation that
of the whole team
involved in, isn't it? Everything's sort of programmed. I think that's what you're getting at, Dan.
Yes,
is that right?
is Savinho going to cause too many problems down that side? Not really. His final ball sometimes not great. Doku's got something a bit different. I like Doku. If I was in that midfield for City, I said, get that ball to Doku and just let him run at Seamus Coleman. Because Seamus Coleman's going to thinking, really? 36 years old. It's the last thing I need.
You started this conversation talking about the young players that have been allowed to leave, and there was a lot of them. And I've been through this with Chelsea. So many of them have been allowed to leave, and now they're flourishing in the Premier League. And I have done 11 of players that are playing top-level football in the Champions League or the Premier League, but they're not playing any longer for Chelsea. And I think we'll get to that. We used to do it with Manchester United back in the day as well.
It's a business thing as well, isn't it?
Of course it is.
It was all the players Arsene Wenger nearly signed at Arsenal, wasn't it?
You will do a similar sort of thing with Manchester City in the future, I'm sure. But you started saying, did he let too many players go? What do you think?
I don't think so. And the reason is because when he let them go, you didn't know. You didn't know. And he's actually helped them.
Coming to this team, right?
He's helped them as individuals.
Swim straight away, yeah?
Yeah. You can't, absolutely. You're trying to win a title. You're trying to win a Champions League. At Chelsea, Cole Palmer is being brilliant most weeks. Not every week, but most weeks he's being brilliant. But if they don't win a trophy, well, they're going to win the Conference League, barring some sort
he's not
even in that squad. But if they don't win a trophy with him in the team this season, nobody's going to say, it was a disastrous signing.
The perfect example, jump in, would be Rico Lewis. When Rico Lewis came into this team, this very, very raw youngster, looked exceptional. Because all the players around him were exceptional. And wherever he wanted the ball, he had 8 different options every time he got it. Every time he got the ball, he was being passed it perfectly. He could walk into midfield. They were dominating games. 80% possession, 70% possession. Suddenly now on the back foot, he's struggling. He's getting caught out. And I've said that all along. Whether it be Liverpool, Manchester United, Arsenal, if you're playing, if there's 8 or 9 great players, you can throw any youngster in. And I think that's when you talk about the quality of those youngsters. Would they be able to do it in a more struggling City side? Probably not, is the answer.
No, it's a fair point. And listen, even senior players, when you're used to winning all the time and suddenly start losing, they find that very difficult to get accustomed to. City taking on Everton. City desperate for a win. Everton would take another 0-0 draw. And we'll talk about those goalless draws in a moment. With less than 15 to kick off, it's game day exclusive on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on Now. Search Now Sports.
Game day exclusive on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Get the festive action available with no contract on Now. 18 plus, with our internet terms apply.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Sipping a morning coffee out on the terrace. Good morning, Mr. Squirrel.
Morning.
The kids building a treehouse in the garden.
I'm living my perfect childhood.
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
At Betfair, we believe that to play different, you need the right tools. The boots, the world-class tactics, the science-backed nutrition. The pros have their tools, and with Betfair, so do you. Our safer gambling tools work just like the right pair of boots, designed to keep you on top of your game. Open the Betfair app to equip yourself so you can bet at your best. Betfair. Play different.
18 plus, begambleaware.org.
You don't just check in to a village hotel. You work out. You jump in. You play on. You tuck in. And drink up. Village Hotels. 33 locations with everything under one roof. A huge gym with pool and great membership opportunities. And a buzzing pub and grill with delicious food, ice-cold beers and live sport. Check out villagehotels.com and work out, stay, meet and play.
Sack the gaffer. You need thesun.co.uk. Bagged a big move? Check out thesun.co.uk. Oh, come on, Ralph! Never a pen? Read thesun.co.uk. Seen red? See thesun.co.uk. Whatever's going on in the game, whenever you want it, wherever you are, from goals to gossip and everything football, it's got to be thesun.co.uk.
You could skydive out of a plane or swim with sharks. You might even skinny dip in icy cold waters. Or you could get that inexpressible high, that guaranteed rush from finding just the thing you wanted, the thing you needed, at a great sale price. IKEA Winter Sale now on. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
The Screwfix sale is now on, and it's big! Save a big £15 on the Gold Screw Trade Pack, now only $19.99. And grab the Stanley Organizer for just $9.99, saving you a big £10. Hurry, the sale must end on the 5th of January. It's big. Delivery fees may apply, subject to availability. See screwfix.com for full T's and C's.
Psst, did you know you can order McDelivery deals? Like the Feed the Family deal for just $14.99. That's 4 selected burgers, 2 medium fries and 2 small fries. Who's in then?
Oh, yeah, me.
And me.
McDelivery. You in? Delivery only from 11 a.m. 4 times selected burgers, 4 times selected fries. Subject to availability. Price, delivery fee and participation may vary.
Game day exclusive on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day.
Sunday afternoon, live Championship football, TalkSport 2.
Sheffield United versus West Brom.
And he fires it in.
Build up from noon, kick off at 12:30. Sunday afternoon on the football station for the people, TalkSport 2.
I'm bored. I'm the chairman of the board.
Everton 0 and Newcastle 0. A really enthralling game of football despite the lack of goals. Mangala to the dead ball and pulls it back, headed over. Oh, great save by Fabianski to deny Lindstrom. Everton will happily take that point back to Merseyside. West Ham United 0, Everton 0.
The team
hasn't been scoring goals for a number of seasons, so we've been trying to correct that, but it's hard to find that.
Everton 0, Brentford 0. Goals the problem for Everton last season, this season and today as well. It's a second successive 0-0 draw.
The service up to Dominic Calvert-Lewin needs to be better. He needs to be better, there's no doubt about that.
Calvert-Lewin hits the post, comes back to him, and he strokes it into the side netting.
Goals is going to be their issue. That's the big problem. I still think they'll have enough.
Everton have put up the stoutest of rearguard actions and taken a point away from Emirates Stadium. Arsenal 0, Everton 0. Just 2 defeats now in their last 13, but they need to turn draws into wins. Full time, Everton 0, Chelsea 0.
And boys, a couple of really good results there for Everton, but Mo Salah scored more goals than Everton have this season. It's all about the clean sheets and the 0-0s. Everton's last 2 games have been 0-0. 4 of the last 6, 0-0. 5 of the last 10, 0-0. Sean Dyche, Danny, is the kind of manager who loves a 0-0. He loves a clean sheet. He celebrates it like he's won a World Cup.
And rightly so. You know, when you've got a team that clearly they're not prolific at scoring goals, they rely on set pieces, the odd opportunity. You've got to be solid defensively. He did that last year, and that's why he kept them up. And he's doing it again this year. You know, Stuart Pearce will always say the amount of goals you score is probably the amount of points you get. Well, bizarrely enough, it's 16-16. Don't like giving Pearcey too much credit, but he's got that one bang on. But that's where they are at the moment. That's where they are as a team. You know, they can't afford to be too creative because that takes away from them defensively. And until they get the opportunity to stabilise things, obviously with the new owners coming in, that might be the opportunity to bring some extra quality perhaps in those forward areas, to be more creative. The only choice they've got really is to be solid, and that's what they're going to do today. They will rely on set pieces, they'll rely on Jordan Pickford going long at times. You know, Sean Dyche is getting the best out of the team that he possibly can.
Well, he's got Tarkowski and Branthwaite, which is a very solid centre-back partnership, and in front of them, Mangala and Gay, a solid central defensive midfield unit. Jordan Pickford probably shouldn't be playing today, but he is, and that's got to be a bonus for Everton. That means you can not feel confident they'll get a clean sheet, but it gives them the best chance of getting a clean sheet today.
Well, even if they concede a few chances, you're thinking, well, Jordan can pull off, you know, some good saves, you know, and he might have to pull off 2 or 3, 4 today, you know, whatever that might be. But if they can get into forward areas, if they can get the ball out wide, get the ball into the box, Calvert-Lewin's a danger in the air, whether that be going for goal himself or knocking it down or chesting it down for other people. And Jai, I think, is a good player. You know, I like him. He's got something about him. He's got a little bit of guile. He's got something a little bit different. You know, he wants to take people on and try and create something. You know, Decore will get forward at times. Harrison will be he's up and down on that right-hand side, or right or the left, whichever side he decides to play. You know, they're solid. You know, they're quite basic. Sean Dyche wants to do the simple things well. That's what they are relying on to keep themselves in this division. And they probably will, you know, on that basis. But yes, of course, Everton fans want more investment. That may well come, but you can only play better football when you have better players.
Well, Sean Dyche says that the Three King Group, the new owners, have brought stability already. They're going to need to bring more than that. What a game this promises to be as the teams make their way out. Boxing Day should be renamed Football Day on TalkSport. Boxing Day was last week with Usyk beating Fury again in Saudi, live on TalkSport. We're all about the football today. This is the first of 4 exclusive Premier League commentaries today. City, Everton. Here's alongside your commentator on TalkSport.
Championship, all of them top class. Later, Wolves against Manchester United, Liverpool against Leicester, and tomorrow we've got Arsenal Ipswich at 8:15, and before that, Brighton against Brentford. Danny Mills is back at Manchester City, and before we start, Danny, we will pay tribute to those lost in the last year who have represented Manchester City Football Club in their careers. There is a brief pause in the stadium as all 22 players ring the perimeter of the centre circle, and the referee will blow his whistle to signal a minute's silence. Burst into spontaneous applause as those players' names were read out over the tannoy. And those players included Ian Mellor, Kevin Campbell, obviously, who played for Everton, Sven-Göran Eriksson, and many others who sadly passed away over the last year associated with both clubs. A nice touch from Manchester City just before the start of their Boxing Day game. Danny Mills, I mentioned, is back at Manchester City. You have the unique perspective of being in a Manchester City team that went through a period like this, 14 games, 11 defeats back in 2006. What did you try to do to get out of it, and what was the atmosphere like around the club?
Well, it's happened at several clubs that I've been at. In all honesty, it happened at Charlton. First time around, I think we lost 9 in a row. You know, my first season in the Premier League. Slightly different because we weren't expected to win. Happened obviously at Leeds when we finished 3rd, 5th, 4th for several seasons, then finished, I think, 15th. We had a real terrible run. Sometimes you just need a little bit of luck. You just need something different to happen to get that goal, to get that win. Leeds is probably the best example because we had good players in that side. We got out of it because our good players turned up on a couple of occasions.
Well, Everton get us started in black shirts with thick yellow trim, attacking the goal away to our left in the first half, and Manchester City in their familiar strip of light blue, white shorts and black socks, attacking the goal away to our right. Jordan Pickford in purple gets his first clearance underway. He kicks the ball high into the grizzly afternoon sky, drops out of play and away for a throw-in over on the far side, and Manchester City have it. And it's with Manuel Akanji, who's only just returned from a pelvic injury himself, plays the ball to Kovacic, who's up towards the halfway line. Again, Kovacic going for that look of having his shirt tucked in tightly to his waistband of his rather muscular frame now. It looks like he's been working in the gym while he was out injured. And Everton pick the ball up midway inside their own half and work it out to Jack Harrison on the far right-hand side. No doubt what their approach will be today, as it's a flick on by Doucouré, looking to try and squeeze that through to Iliman Ndiaye, who's unable to receive it because Doucouré was in an offside position. But City struggling. They're facing an Everton team who have shown more resilience and a defensively sound approach over the last few weeks. It hasn't been exciting. They are happy to go long. They use set pieces to create. They rarely score too many goals from open play. In fact, they've failed to score in a Premier League high 9 games this season, and it's unlikely to be an end-to-end basketball match, Danny.
No, it's not. I came here with Middlesbrough, must have been 03-04. We won the game without having a shot on target. Sun Ji-hai scored an own goal. And that's the sort of performance that I would expect from Everton today. They're not going to be particularly cavalier. They haven't been prolific going forward. They will sit in. They will make it as difficult and for as long as possible for City. They'll work incredibly hard. They have to rely on a little bit of luck as well.
Kovacic has robbed the ball from Doucouré, run through the middle of the Everton half, worked it wide to Savinho, who's crossed into the box, takes a deflection, it bounces through the 18-yard box and it's cleared away by Harrison, funneling in. They want to get the ball up to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He thought he was fouled, but Guardiola has run away with possession and he gets up towards the edge of the 18-yard area on the left-hand side, tries to feed Bernardo Silva, across comes Seamus Coleman and kicks it out and away for a throwing down by the corner flag. Sean Dyche not happy about the fact that Dominic Calvert-Lewin wasn't awarded a foul on halfway when the ball was played up to him, and he was screaming at his players to get out once they got possession on the edge of their own penalty area. But they have given away a corner, and it's the first opportunity to attack for Manchester City. Played just over 3 minutes. You're listening to Talk Sport live on Boxing Day. It's a short one into Doku from Phil Foden, who then gets it back and sends it into Guardiola, hits the post, comes back down to him, and it comes back out and ricochets into an open penalty area, and it's cleared away. Josko Guardiola, who scored more goals than any other Premier League defender in 2024, has hit the woodwork inside 4 minutes for Manchester City. Silva back into the box, travels all the way through, missed by the Everton defence, goes out on this near side, and Savinho trying to keep it alive. He does that successfully, skips past one challenge, then past the second, and as he drives the ball in towards the near post, Bernardo Silva was sliding in front of Pickford and just couldn't reach it, and it was gobbled up by the Everton goalkeeper. It's 0-0 somehow.
Well, it was the short corner initially that caused problems for Everton. Phil Foden just clips it into an area, and I have to say, Guardiola is very unlucky. It gets in between Calvert-Lewin and Jared Branthwaite. It's a sensational header, and it just clips the outside of the foot of the post.
It is one of those headers that it was so straight on, wasn't it? It just hit its target. It was just going straight, and it smacked the post and then came straight back out again.
It just needed a little bit of a glance on it.
Yeah.
It sometimes, you know, when you see a player hit the perfect shot, and it goes straight down the goalkeeper's, right into his ribcage.
Given away by Mikalenko, straight to Savinho, edge of the area. He glances past one way and then the other, and then tries to drive the ball into the near post from the tight angle of the edge of the box. It's blocked by Doucouré and then cleared away by Everton, but only just, and they look a little bit haphazard defensively in the opening exchanges at Everton. They haven't started with that sort of level of concentration that you would expect from a Sean Dyche team.
Yeah, they need to keep it tight for 15 minutes. You know, they cannot concede in this first 15 minutes of the game if they're going to have any chance. I would say they've got to be a little bit more resolute when the ball. It's very, very difficult for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but when that ball goes up to him, he's got to fight a little bit harder to try and give that defence a little bit of respite and keep hold of the ball.
Manchester City sunk to their 9th defeat in 12 outings away at Villa on Saturday, despite Phil Foden's late consolation, which has intensified the scrutiny on the club and its manager. They're without 35% of their outfield squad today because of illness and injury. Walker, Grealish, Diaz, all unavailable today. And Kevin De Bruyne is only on the bench. Foden out towards the near side. Taken high up inside Everton territory by Rico Lewis, who brings it down and feeds Doku, who switched left side for right momentarily. Comes back to Lewis and then on to Foden. Foden centrally is Kovacic. They're moving the ball at speed here in the early exchanges, Manchester City, but they almost gave it away. Ake read the danger, managed to pick his way through a tight spot, but it's been won again by Everton, and now they look to break for the first time. Idrissa Gana Gueye exchanges passes with Calvert-Lewin on halfway, then moves down the right, waits for Harrison to join, and so does Mangala. Mangala picks it up midway inside Manchester City territory, then Harrison whips the ball in towards the near post, and Calvert-Lewin almost got in front of Akanji, who wasn't completely switched on there. Had he connected with that, there might have been a bit of a problem for Ortega.
And that's what Everton have to do. You know, they broke very, very well, but I think they did the right thing. They had to turn back. It was only Calvert-Lewin, and he was outnumbered in the box. There's no point just throwing the ball in for the sake of it. But when they get the opportunity, when they can get bodies forward like that, get the ball in the box, put crosses in, let players go and attack the ball. That's what's going to cause City more problems than anything else.
This is another day where Sean Dyche would probably categorise it as one for the grinders.
Oh, he was devastated when the Merseyside derby was called off. It was 100-mile-an-hour winds. He'd have been down on the touchline, short sleeves on, going, right, come on.
Let's have it.
Yeah, and that would have suited Everton probably down to the ground in that Merseyside derby. He would have been devastated.
Yeah, he wants players that are up for the fight, who are willing to dig in for a battle, and they might have to have one today. Pickford, as Everton play out from the back under City's high press, then it goes back to Pickford, who will inevitably at some point go long, but decided to switch it out towards the right-hand side where Coleman was waiting for it, into Harrison, back to Coleman.
Can I just say, Sam, where's the press from City?
Well,
you know when you used to have that like 5-second rule, they would all swarm and they would all press.
Well, interestingly, the fact that they weren't playing, they were able to play out from the back, Everton, showed that the press wasn't as intense as it should have been from Manchester City in the first place.
And that's been the problem for some time from City. They haven't had that, let's win it back within 5 seconds of giving the ball away.
Yeah, that sort of intensity and dynamism, which has always been their trademark, has not been as evident this season as it has been in previous seasons, and it's a far cry from the lofty heights that the club has soared to during Pep Guardiola's tenure, typified by that treble in 2023, but no one, not even City, are able to sustain all of that permanently, especially with the level of injuries that they have had as well. We played 7.5 minutes on TalkSport at the beginning of our bumper day of action on Boxing Day across the Talk Network. Here is Savinio, 0-0 the score, City against Everton, one of 10 live commentaries across the network today. It takes us as far afield as Anfield, if you're Adrian Durham. He's going up there a little bit later for Liverpool versus Leicester later today, 8 o'clock. And Wolves Manchester United at 5:30. Nottingham Forest against Tottenham at 3 o'clock. Ball out of play. Everton celebrating the fact that Doku has just wandered out of play, and it goes out for a goal kick.
Yeah, ball played down the channel. Doku goes past Tarkowski, who stands his ground, I think. It's one of those, if the referee had given it, I'd have said, I can understand why. He didn't give it. Can also understand why. It's a 50-50 decision.
James Tarkowski, who his first club, actually, would you believe, was Main Road FC, which was a club in the North West Counties League, which was started by a group of Manchester City supporters.
And how old was he?
I think he was about 18.
I was about to say, I thought he was 7 or something.
No. Played for Oldham Athletic, of course, as well, and he spent a lot of time in the Northwest. He's from these parts, from Manchester. Here is Nathan Ake. Infield to Kovacic. Kovacic runs through the centre circle, touches it left to the Dutchman. He's only just coming back from injury, making his first start since December the 4th after a thigh injury, one of 3 significant injuries that Ake has already had this season.
Can I just talk about Sam as well? Look at the intensity from City's passing. You know, it used to be like one touch. Now it's very much like 2, 3 touches. The build-up is a lot slower, so they're not moving players around as quick.
It started faster, didn't it? In the first few minutes of the game, it was quite pop, 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 and then it's just slackened off again as the ball goes up to Haaland, who heads it down to Foden inside the area. Across comes Doku, half cleared as far as Kovacic. He wanders to the edge of the box, runs into traffic. Gay and Mangala tidy up, and Tarkowski gets it back to Pickford, who shovels it out towards the near side. Decides not to go long, but gives it to Njai instead. Now he will get it back to Pickford, and he will go long this time. He'll clip it into the air, and Mikalenko and Lewis will fight for it. It's won by Lewis, but picked up by Njai, who dribbles down the touchline, feeds it into Mikalenko. He helps it on first time, looking for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but he couldn't get the angle on the pass to feed the England man, and it's cut out by Akanji. And it's back with Manchester City's defence away to our left-hand side. 11 minutes played on TalkSport. In Scotland, Hearts 0, Hibernian 1. The derby at Tynecastle today. Both teams have had a very bad season. But Hibs have taken the lead at Tynecastle in the Edinburgh derby. Ball loose on the edge of the City penalty area. Ortega comes out after Dominic Calvert-Lewin won an initial header. There's a fight ball in the middle of the park, and Everton have won it, and then Doucouré is penalised from coming from behind, and Simon Hooper is warning him against moaning about that, and Kovacic is given the free kick just short of the centre circle after a bit of a scrap in the Everton attacking third. They were on the front foot there for a bit.
I think Simon Hooper realised he should have gave a foul, a little push in the back from Mangala on Bernardo Silva. He didn't give that one, so there was an easy option to give a foul against Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Leighton Orient Crawley starts at 1 o'clock this afternoon. We'll keep you in touch with that from League One. Remember, we'll have all the goals as they go in throughout the course of the afternoon as we bring you 10 live commentaries on Boxing Day. Here's Savinho skipping past Mikalenko, getting to the edge of the penalty area, feeding Haaland, trying to get it out of his feet. He strikes the ball goalwards, it's blocked, it's shoveled into the air. An overhead kick to clear it from Mikalenko, and then it's sent wide out towards his left-hand side, towards Njai by Gay, and then Lewis wrestles with him for the ball. It spills out of the perimeter of the playing surface, and it goes out for a throw-in to Manchester City, and Njai can't believe it, holds on to the ball as a result and says, I'm not giving it back because I'm not happy about the decision. Someone asked to give him a yellow card, which he probably should have done because that's the rules nowadays for delaying a restart. But, you know, that only caught on for a couple of weeks.
You don't want a yellow card for that. I mean, I think the referee got it wrong. I think it was Everton throwing.
No one wants a yellow card for it, but once you set the precedent that is now the law, you can't then decide that you're going to stop it because it's Boxing Day.
But do you want two people? Do you want a person sent off for that doing that twice?
Didn't say that.
No, well, no, but if you want someone booked for that,
I don't want someone booked. I'm saying that consistency. There'll be Arsenal fans listening to this going, hold on, if that was Declan Rice, he'd have been booked.
I get that, but we don't want players sent off for two of those offences. It's nonsense.
Mangala down the right-hand side looking for Doucouré. Guardiola plays it in field. Kovacic tidies up. He's on the edge of his own penalty area, Nathan Ake, as he receives it and funnels it through to Bernardo Silva. Manchester City 0, Everton 0, 12.5 minutes played.
Not much movement from City, is there? Look, Bernardo Silva, he's had 7-8 touches, and now he's gone long to Savinho out wide.
And he picks it up, runs at Mikalenko, who's wearing gloves and backpedaling, and Silvinho getting towards the edge of the penalty area, held onto it for too long, and Doucouré spotted the danger, came back and helped out his defence brilliantly, and then it's gone back to Pickford, who's cleared upfield towards Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Interestingly there, Savinho, he scored 9 goals last year in the league. He came up with a load of assists for Girona. He was their best player by a mile. He was terrific in that team, and I watched him several times last year. He has been nowhere near the player that he was last year in La Liga.
Well, equally, Sam, La Liga is nowhere near the Premier League. You know, that's the difference. There's 3 or 4 teams in there that are very, very good. The rest are bang average.
He's yet to score a goal. I wouldn't have had him down for someone who hadn't scored a goal. In this Manchester City team, obviously he's joined them at a difficult moment, but in this Manchester City team I would have expected more numbers from him. He's got 4 assists so far.
But look at the lack of movement. Look, Kovacic is now on the ball. He's having to take 4 or 5 touches. Because, look, all the City players have stood still. There's a massive difference, a lack of intensity when they haven't got the ball and when they have got the ball.
Here is Bernardo Silva getting into the penalty area. Savinho at the back post, he doesn't need to touch it, he's taken a deflection and gone in, and Manchester City have stolen the lead. And that was a little bit of movement from Bernardo Silva to break the lines, get in the inside left channel. He got there ahead of his marker, he poked it goalwards, it came off the goalkeeper. Savinho thought it was coming to him at the foot of the far post, but he didn't need to touch it because it snuck in instead. And Manchester City have an early lead on Boxing Day. It might well be an own goal, that, because there certainly was a big deflection off Jared Branthwaite, I think, as the ball came across from Bernardo Silva. But a little bit of movement, an injection of pace from Bernardo Silva running down the inside left channel was the moment that it changed.
I think it's a little bit fortunate. He's gone for the cross. He's going to put it to the far post to Savinho. And Jared Branthwaite is coming back, challenging him. Comes off his leg, unfortunately, and goes into the back of the net. Fortunate for City, very unfortunate for Everton. Like I said, it's that one little bit of movement. Bernardo Silva darting in behind as the ball comes across. That has to be an own goal.
Well, it's 1-0 to Manchester City no matter what, and whether it's a Branthwaite own goal or a Silva credited strike, it's importance to Manchester City cannot be underplayed, and they will know that Everton have won just once this season, drawn just once, and lost 4 of the 6 Premier League games where they've conceded first this campaign. So it bodes well for Manchester City, who lead now by 1-0, and that will mean that there's a different level of approach from Everton, because they can no longer just concentrate on the defensive aspect of their game.
Well, they will. Simple as that, Sam. Everton will not change too much. Their approach to the game will stay exactly the same. Because if you'd have said to Sean Dyche, come away with the draw, they'd have taken it all day long. They'd taken 0-0, snapped your hand off. He would also take 1-1. So they're not going to suddenly change their whole style and way of playing to get back in this game in the next couple of minutes.
Here is Gay, out towards the far side, finding Coleman. Coleman infield to Mangala, and then all the way back to Tarkowski, who plays it across to Jordan Pickford, and then Pickford will play it out towards Branthwaite on this near side. But there will be a plan, Dan, won't there? If you go down, this is what we do next. This is how we plan to get back in the game.
Well, I think Everton will stay exactly the same. The game plan will not change until 75, 80 minutes if it stays 1-0. They will keep doing exactly the same things. The remit will be keep it tight, stay in the game. When we can break forward, play on the counter-attack, that's what we'll do. And if we get set pieces, we have to use them to our advantage.
Branthwaite back to Tarkowski. Strides forward, clips it high into the air, and running forward on the right is Seamus Coleman, trying to outpace Guardiola, who gets there first in the left full-back position and feeds it back to Stefan Ortega. What Manchester City have got to do now is try and sort of solidify and make sure they don't get into a position where they concede a goal, because their issue has been conceding goals. If they concede one, they crumble, and that's a real problem for them. They have a lack of confidence after letting in a goal. It's happened so often this season, even when they're in command of games.
But you'd say they're in command of the game at the moment, but their movement isn't great, Sam. Look, there's no they're walking around. We're used to City, like people running into gaps, people coming out of one space, running into the next. That's not happened, and when they give the ball away, there isn't that intensity to go and close the ball down, to win it back. And this is why they're struggling at the moment. It's just those intensity levels, those confidence levels, belief levels are nowhere near of what they were.
Well, City know that they've won only one of their last 12. That was at home to Nottingham Forest. That was the only game I remember where Pep Guardiola was saying in the build-up, we will bounce back, we will do it in front of our fans, and they did. They won 3-0 that game. They've got a chance here, having taken an early lead, to build on this advantage, despite the fact they're missing so many players today. Free kick has been given, a foul on Phil Foden against Abdoulaye Doucouré, who came in from the wrong side again. He was late with his challenge, and this is about 15 yards from goal, wide on the left-hand side, and Phil Foden will take it. Ake, Akanji, both up, trying to breach the defensive line of Everton, who are just defending about a yard outside their own area here. It's quite a high line, actually, from Everton. And Doku and Foden are standing over this delivery. Doku's now sprinted into the left wing position. Foden's delivered it in towards the back edge of the 6-yard box, and it was a really good delivery, actually. But I think the fact that they played such a high line there, Everton, meant that it was very difficult for anybody to get in quickly and get on the end of it.
No one attacks it, Sam. It would have been offside in any case, especially from Ake. But nobody really goes and attacks that ball, apart from Ake. You know, got 7 players up there on the edge of the box, only one really has a go to attack it.
1-0 to Manchester City. Live on the Talk Network, the Everton boss, Sean Dyche, would love to turn this into a scruffy, scrappy encounter. On Sunday, certainly, that was when Everton were more dangerous in the game. But their solidity has been unrivaled over the course of the last few weeks and months, but they've already been breached today. So if the outcome depends on a clean sheet, then that's already passed for Everton. Since the beginning of October, Everton have kept 7 clean sheets in the Premier League, the most of any team across Europe's top 5 leagues. They've been difficult to break down.
And when you look at their fixture list, Sam, of the last 4 or 5 games and what they've got coming up, people look at it and going, they've got no chance of getting a point, you know, in that. So they're, oddly enough, they're sort of ahead of the curve on points probably expected in this run of fixtures.
Well, they've got some big fixtures to come over the next few weeks as well. So have Manchester City, actually. They'll look at the fixtures that they've got in the next few weeks and start thinking about maybe the possibility of stringing a few results together. I mean, they would think about that back in the day, I say back in the day, August, as par for the course, but you never know what you're going to get now. And they've started well enough to get themselves in front in this game, but they've yet to totally convince Danny Mills yet that they are completely on the right track. We've played 20 minutes and 28 seconds, and Tarkowski has fed the ball to Mangala, deep inside his own half. Pep Guardiola can't believe there was no press on Mangala, and the ball's gone up to Calvert-Lewin, brilliantly on to Doucouré. Doucouré out wide towards the left, and now it's on to Iliman Ndiaye, and joining is Mangala again, who's right-footed, shot towards the far corner, wasn't as far away as it might have been. It was a bit of a snapshot from Mangala, right from about 2 yards outside the D, picking it up onto his right foot and shoveling it goalwards. It hit the stanchion at the back of the goal that keeps the net elevated. and it goes behind and away for a goal kick.
It's a decent move from Everton. Good play from them. I think Decore probably should have gone out to the right-hand side. Jack Harrison was in a really good open space, you know, bursting through that inside right channel, but he chose to come out this side to enjoy on the left, and it was a little bit more congested. But positive from Everton.
Here is Guardiola, deep inside his own territory. Manchester City 1, Everton 0. Hearts 0, Hibs 1 in League One. It's a 1 o'clock start for Leyton Orient and Crawley. We'll keep you in touch with that throughout the course of the afternoon here. Here's Savinho. Infield from the right touchline, looking to give it to Kovacic. Good sharp passing from Manchester City. Lewis has joined in midfield, and they've kept the ball with a lot of one-touch football and quick movement, and they've moved it out the other side now towards the left. Then Guardiola midway inside opposition territory, feeds Foden onto Haaland. Haaland round the goalkeeper, tries to square it into the centre. It comes off Branthwaite. That's a little bit more like the Manchester City we're used to. Moving the ball elegantly through the pitch at pace and getting up down that left-hand side, finding Erling Haaland, who went round Jordan Pickford but was a little bit too wide to get the shot in and couldn't cut it back to Savinho.
Yeah, it's a good move from Haaland. Takes it wide at Jordan Pickford. Could have been clever. He could have waited for the contact and could have easily gone down there. Jordan Pickford pulls his arms away, but how many centre forwards have we seen wait for contact to come from the goalkeeper and go down? He didn't, but it was just a little bit too wide to pull it back.
Here is the corner, taken by Foden in towards the near post. Guardiola was up there again, trying to cause problems. It was off his shoulder, I think, of Nathan Ake eventually, and it goes behind and away for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. Erling Haaland is having a bit of a tricky period, though, isn't he, Dan? Just the 1 goal in his last 6 Premier League appearances. He's scored only 3 in his last 12, and after that, after what was a really vibrant start, actually, to the beginning of the season, he did talk about it.
How many's got this season?
Yeah, it's very difficult to say he's not in form when he's got 18 and 24.
Right, there you go.
But he has just hit a tough patch, as Manchester City have, I suppose.
And it happened, you know.
He said, actually, I've got to take some responsibility.
Of course, all strikers go through that. Harry Kane's been through that. Mo Salah's been through that. Alan Shearer went through that. Thierry Henry went through that once upon a time. All strikers go through it at some point, and generally it coincides with either them not playing well, the team not playing well, or the team not playing well, them not playing well. You know, the two go hand in hand. He will come good, without a shadow of a doubt. He's proven that over the course of... It's not like he did it for 1 season. He's done it for what? 7, 8 seasons?
Well, he's done it all of his career. He's scored a bucket load of goals, and I'm sure there'll be another bucket load to come. But they haven't been coming in spades over the last couple of weeks, that's for sure. 24 gone. Manchester City 1, Everton 0. The ball launched towards the edge of the Manchester City penalty area, collected by Kovacic from Akanji's kick out, and it goes all the way back to Ortega, who's wearing bright orange today. Looks like he could be one of the stewards, actually, behind the goal away to our left. He's got a matching outfit.
And the referees, assistants.
Yeah, the referees are wearing bright orange today as well. It's odd that they've been allowed to do that, actually. Here is Lewis trying to get out of a tight spot, which is being squeezed from all angles by Njai, and Gay gets it to his goalkeeper, and then they go out on the left with Ake. Strides out of the 18-yard box and pushes it into the path of Josko Gvardiol, who's a tall and slender left back with a big, thick, dark beard and a bush of black hair. Very gruff speaking. We spoke to him last week, and he was a bit concerned about Manchester City's problems when they've conceded goals this season. He said it almost feels like our destiny that once we concede, we're going to lose a game.
That's mentality. And that's how it changes. You know, when you've lost 9 in 12, suddenly you're thinking, it used to be once upon a time, City went a goal down, don't worry about it. It's not a problem, we'll just keep playing. We'll score 3 or 4, not an issue. Suddenly now there's not quite that belief anymore, and you do start to think then.
Haaland running through the centre after a long ball, takes it past Jared Branthwaite, tries to go out and around Pickford again, but the goalkeeper comes out and smothers it, and it gobbles it up. I just wonder whether or not, that's a couple of times now that Haaland's got in behind the Everton defence. Jared Branthwaite, who got ragdolled last year against Erling Haaland, you might remember, when there was a lot of talk about him moving on and being the new bright young hope. I wonder if it's in his mind that he's got to deal with Erling Haaland today, and he's got to try and make his mark, because he's struggled with him a couple of times already.
Yeah, maybe, but Jared Branthwaite's a very, very good player. I think he's very, very talented, and has got a big future ahead of him. What's been interesting is City have played 9 or 10 long diagonal balls over the top so far.
Yeah.
Very unlike them.
Interesting. I mean, since he's returned to the team, Everton's return to form defensively has certainly come together.
Him and Tarkowski have been absolutely superb together.
7th straight Premier League start for him today. But in the previous 6, they've kept 5 clean sheets.
They've got a real good understanding between the two. You know, Tarky is the senior player, the experienced player, the solid player within that. Jared Branthwaite's a little bit better on the ball. 2 good feet, reads the game very, very well. I think Jared Branthwaite could go on to be one of the very, very great centre-halves, because he's got all the attributes.
22 years of age, and he's just played the ball down the left-hand side, which was nicked by Lewis, and it's going to go out for a corner away to our left. And remember, only Arsenal have scored more goals from set pieces in the Premier League this season than Everton, but no side has a heavier reliance on set pieces than the Toffees. They score a greater percentage of their goals from these scenarios. Iliman Ndiaye will deliver it. There is 4 dark shirts in the penalty area. It's not quite black, is it? It's sort of slate grey, the kit, with a yellow trim.
This is what Everton play for.
Lots of space on the edge of the area for Coleman, for Idrissa Gueye and Mangala. It's Ndiaye in towards the near post, comes out to Gueye on the edge of the area, right-footed shot straight down the middle of the goal, and Ortega stretches his hands up and catches it first time.
You know, it's one of those ones earlier. He catches the half volley perfectly, and it goes straight at the goalkeeper. If he slices it or scuffs it a little bit, the goalkeeper's got much more of a problem.
Yeah, it goes either side of him, and that's it. 27 played. Manchester City 1, Everton 0.
Jordan Pickford had 1 save to make, apart from the own goal, which I think it is an own goal. 1 save to make. So Sean Dyche will be looking, thinking, it's not that bad. OK, they hit the post from a Guardiola header. City have had the lion's share of possession, you'd expect that. But they haven't really pulled Everton apart. And again, it's Foden this time looking to run in behind and get that long diagonal ball over the top.
2 shots on goal from Manchester City, just the 1 from Everton so far, that one we've just told you about from Idrissa Gueye. 61% possession for Manchester City, 39 for Everton, probably more than they were expecting, really.
And this is what I mean, although they're 1-0 down, Sean Dyche won't be too unhappy with the performance of the way the game is going so far.
1-0 to Manchester City. Here is Jared Branthwaite, sending the ball up to halfway, looking for Ndiaye, trying to flick it past Kovacic, didn't come off for him. Bounces back into possession for Everton and Mangala, who's just short on the halfway line, left-hand side, into Branthwaite and then back to Pickford. No pressure on the ball here from Manchester City as Pickford holds on to it deep inside his own half. Now the pressure comes as it goes towards Doucouré, but it's only Bernardo Silva who's leading the press and nobody else is going with him. The kick long by Pickford runs all the way over the head of Ndiaye and straight to Rico Lewis, and now there's a gap for Silvinho to try and exploit down the right. He runs at the Everton defence. He's got Bernardo Silva to his right-hand side. He tried to go infield instead, bumped immediately into a clutch of those slate grey shirts. There's actually an option to play that ball to the right to Bernardo Silva and made a really intelligent run across him.
But again, it's so obvious that he wants to go inside on his left foot. Everton are just sending him in there into 3 or 4 bodies, and of course he can't dribble past 3 or 4. He's not Lionel Messi.
1-0. So far so good for Manchester City, if not perfect. It's still positive at this present. Harrison out towards the right hand side, he's overhit that. Seamus Coleman might have got that back in the day, but he's not getting that now.
I'm not sure he would have got that back in the day, to be honest. It was a little bit too far ahead of him. A little bit overhit from Jack Harrison.
Interesting looking at the City bench. The camera's focusing in on that as we speak. Kevin De Bruyne talking to Ilkay Gundogan on the back row, probably because he doesn't know the others. They're so inexperienced. That was a bit tongue-in-cheek, obviously, but I'm sure he hasn't spent as much time with Simpson, Pusey, Mubama, Elaine, O'Reilly and Spike Brits and McAtee as he has done with the former German captain. Near side is Everton's Iliman Ndiaye, back to halfway. Now it's taken on by Mykolenko. Centre circle, the ball's with Tarkowski. Then into Mangala, and then Idrissa Gueye, who runs backwards, looks up, went to try and feed it out to the right-hand side, but Haaland was getting in his way, so he found Tarkowski again, and they've worked it left to Mykolenko, who scoops it forward for Calvert-Lewin to tussle with Akanji. Akanji goes to ground. Immediately the whistle is blown by Simon Hooper and a free kick given in the right full-back area.
Just talking about that bench that you just mentioned, Sam. Gundogan and De Bruyne, and you mentioned they probably don't know any of those younger players so well, and that'll be true.
but Pep makes a change, brings on one of those youngsters ahead of them. How are they feeling? That's not going to go down particularly well, is it? You know what I mean? So again, Pep's got to manage that. If there's a change, it almost has to be Gundogan or De Bruyne, because if it's somebody else, they're going to be sat on the bench going, hang on a minute, what are you doing? You're putting a kid on ahead of me. That can't be right. And this is where all these, because suddenly you're not winning game after game after game, whereas before no one could question Pep, suddenly they can.
Has been confirmed as the Bernardo Silva goal, despite Danny thinking that was probably going to be an own goal. There was a huge deflection on it. Has been confirmed as a Bernardo Silva goal.
It was going, I think it was going almost going backwards. I understand that, but it looked like it was a cross, and I can't believe it was going to hit the target.
It's currently Manchester City 1, Everton 0. Here are the latest odds according to Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get Manchester City 10-1 on to win the game. The draw is 7-1. It's 25-1 for Everton to come back and win the match. That's all thanks to Betfair, who are paying out on winning bets at 90 minutes with 90-minute guarantee. Terms and conditions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org. This is TalkSport on Boxing Day.
Just look at the lack of movement, Sam. Look.
Well, it hasn't been a Christmas cracker to start us off with, is it?
Look,
we didn't want to
here we go again, looking for that long diagonal ball over the top. So un-City-like.
Here is Foden, though, picking up the pieces and feeding it to Bernardo Silva, who's outside of the left foot shot, goes miles wide of the target. It was a long ball up to Erling Haaland, who held it up well, fed Foden, who in turn just turned it into the path of Silva. I thought that was a well-worked move, actually, Dan. I know you were complaining about it being a long ball, but actually...
No, I'm not complaining, Tom. I'm saying it's very unusual for City.
It is, but it worked for them.
Yes, they've done that 12 occasions so far. Bernardo Silva, I think he's unbelievable. He's one of the best players I've seen in the Premier League. I think he's superb, consistency and everything. But he's gone out, he's got a clear shot at goal, and he's gone outside the left foot trying to bend it into the top corner.
Well, because he doesn't like using that right foot.
Well, just hit the target with your left foot. Side foot that. You've got to hit the target in that situation. There's nothing Pep can do about that. That's just a poor decision from Bernardo Silva.
The third round of the darts starts tomorrow, by the way. Luke Humphries, the defending champion, taking on Nick Kenny. Luke Littler against Ian White. That's on Saturday evening. A big weekend ahead of the darts over on Talk Sport.
Is Darren Bent not in that? Or has he been knocked out in the prelims?
Yeah, I think he might have missed the cut. Let's just put it that way. You're listening to Manchester City 1, Everton 0 on TalkSport with Sky Sports. And don't forget, you can stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on now. Search Now Sports. This is Guardiola on halfway for Manchester City, who lead. It's not been the most energetic performance, but it's been sort of almost paint by numbers, really, from Pep Guardiola today. There's been a slightly different tactic. They've been playing longer balls up to Haaland. They know that Everton haven't really got the pace in behind, so moving the ball around on the edge of the penalty area after feeding off of Haaland is maybe a better tactic for them. They've got one goal already. They've had a couple of good opportunities, but they have considered a couple of chances as well. Not that Ortega has had to do much in the opening 35 minutes. Here is Doku down the left-hand side, cutting it on the right foot. Anyone will do for City at the moment, though. Lewis sending it wide to the right. Sabinho trying to take on Iliman Ndiaye. Looks to go on the inside. Produces a cross, headed away by Tarkowski. Picked up by Ndiaye, who immediately funnels it out towards the left-hand side, but it can't reach Doucouré because Sabinho was alert to the danger. But now Foden's been dispossessed, and Doucouré's got it back again. He's been dispossessed by Sabinho, who wriggles away from Doucouré, who nicks it back. You have it, we have it. No, we'll have another go again. And then Ndiaye sees it back to his goalkeeper.
Everton have just got to keep the ball a little bit better. You know, when they win it back in those situations, Ndiaye did really well to win it back and gave it away straight away. That's those moments where you've been so intense winning the ball back. When you do get it, you just have to have that moment in your head, just that little bit of calmness to say, OK, now we've got the ball, now I need to keep it.
There's an odd moment there where Mangala wasn't being pressed, then two players, Doku and Haaland, went towards him and he just ran through the middle of them and got the other side of the press. It's worked out to Coleman, right-hand side, low cross into the near post, helped away by Nathan Ake, who just got across the front post, but it's one back by Tarkowski, who's high up inside Manchester City territory. Now here's Doucouré, edge of the area, right side, box towards the far stick. It's Ndiaye into the far corner, and he scored. It's a brilliant finish from Iliman Ndiaye, and a great response from Everton. The Everton fans go wild over on the right-hand side, and Manchester City's winter of discontent takes another twist. It's the first real shot in anger that Everton have had in the game.
They had posed a threat, they had threatened, but not really tested Ortega. They have now, and they passed that test. It's Manchester City 1, Everton 1.
What a fantastic finish that is. Absolutely magnificent. I don't know if Dominic Calvert-Lewin allowed it to go deliberately or whether he couldn't quite reach it, but it was that initial run down the right-hand side from Coleman that started the move off. And when it's clipped into the box, I think was it Akanji just gets a touch on it, which takes it away from Calvert-Lewin. And Rico Lewis doesn't know where the player is. I think he turns the wrong way. He's got no idea where Njai is. And Njai's got far too much space for that situation, controls it, and then the outside of his foot puts it into the far corner with a magnificent finish.
That's a brilliant finish on the half volley from Iliman Njai. The ball scoots across past Akanji and Lewis, and he has one touch to set it, and as it drops out of the sky, hits it towards the far corner, and there's nothing Ortega can do. It's straight past him in a flash, and it's 1-1. But the key moment for me there, Dan, was in the build-up to the attack, was the fact that James Tarkowski had sensed that there was a moment there where Manchester City weren't set properly, and had decided to break the line and gone straight in and pushed high up inside the Manchester City half to put extra pressure on the ball, and that created an overload in numbers.
Well, they're doing it again, look. You know, look at Everton. Everton's intensity without the ball is 3 or 4 times greater than Manchester City's. You know, they're working much, much harder to win the ball back. OK, City have better players. Yes, no one is going to argue with that. But Everton's work rate is better at the moment. They're swarming around. They're more organised. They're more of a team. At the moment, City are relying on their very, very good, great individuals to come up with something.
Well, what happens next? Because we know that when Manchester City concede a goal, it does affect them mentally. And are they going to react in a positive fashion today? 1-1 the score with 7 minutes before half-time. Savinho on the near side, the Manchester City right. Looks to take on Iliman Njai. Comes in on his left foot, then lays it back to Rico Lewis. Lewis back to Kovacic, and Kovacic then to Guardiola. Guardiola tries to come in infield. Again, there's lots of numbers, there's lots of congestion in the middle of the park, and City find it difficult to unpick that. You are listening to Manchester City 1, Everton 1 on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps over 120,000 people every day. Savinho, who always comes in on that left foot, wants to come infield and try and take on Njai, sends it back to Kovacic, who's 5 yards back from the edge of the D. Then Guardiola, back to Rico Lewis once again. Lewis forward to Kovacic, and then again, they're forced back here, Manchester City, because of Everton's work rate, but now they pick it apart and find Vardiol's ball is pouring, cut out by Seamus Coleman. Everton come forward. Calvert-Lewin threatened to run in between the two centre-backs, but Coleman's kept hold of it well. He feeds it to Jack Harrison. Harrison on the right-hand side. His cross is deep towards Doucouré. It's over his head, and Njai will pick it up on the left-hand side. Everton coming forward and looking threatening just before half-time. Njai on the outside, gets to the byline. Lovely crossing towards the near post. Someone got a flick on that to rob Dominic Calvert-Lewin of a chance to put it beyond Ortega and make it 2-1.
Everton just got to be careful. They don't get carried away, don't get sucked into going forward with too many numbers and get hit on the counter-attack. And then another good build-up. But Seamus Coleman allowed to run 50 yards unopposed pretty much with the ball. That shouldn't be happening. I don't want to dig Rico Lewis out for the goal too much, but a lot of goals have come down this right-hand side for Manchester City in recent weeks.
Ball switched out to Savinho on the near side. Tries to control it, does that. Beats Njai first time on the outside, but then Njai comes back and says, I'll have that, thank you very much.
Predictable, Sam. Coming back onto his left foot. He'd beaten Njai, and then because he knows he's coming back onto his left, he just stands there and takes the ball off him.
Calvert-Lewin's done brilliantly. Good hold-up play by the centre-forward, who's kept up the ball well after Njai found him, and then managed to keep hold of possession under pressure, drew a foul from Savinho, and now has a free kick just short of the halfway line. 5 minutes to go before the break. Manchester City were in front, they're not anymore. It's 1-1.
And again, Rico Lewis, when City were being amazing and he was just getting into the team, he could go and play in midfield, he could go and play anywhere. He was never really under pressure. He never really had to play against a winger. Suddenly, in the last few weeks, where he's been playing at right back, people have been getting in behind him. That goal there, he's unaware of where Njai is. There's no player should have that much time and space at the far post to have a touch, let it bounce, and then hit a half volley into the far corner. It shouldn't happen.
Doku wriggles away from Coleman, then looks to feed the ball into Kovacic. There was a foul there possibly. Out comes Jordan Pickford. There was an offside flag, I think, up on this near side. No, it was a foul. He's given the foul on the edge of the penalty area against, I think, James Tarkowski. Or was it Mykolenko coming back there? Either way, it's a yellow card for Mykolenko.
I'm not sure anybody knows what's happened there, Sam. Least of all the referee.
I think it's Mykolenko for trying to tug back. Well, I'm not entirely sure that was a foul. It was just a coming together, wasn't it?
It's not a foul. They've just gone shoulder to shoulder.
They just bounced. He just bounced off Doku.
Yeah, they've gone hit him. Doku then ran 3 or 4 yards before he went down. That's not a foul. That's poor refereeing.
Well, the referee's given the.
Sean Dyche will not be happy with that.
Well, the referee's given the free kick to Manchester City. And it's a yellow card for Mykolenko for breaking up a promising attack as well. So it's double bubble.
And that's the problem. Yeah, that's the problem, Sam. You're punished twice. It's not a foul, and you're now on a yellow card.
And it's a free kick which is going to be taken about 5 yards outside the penalty area. There was no flag from the linesman on this near side, which surprised me a little bit that Simon Hooper was so adamant that there was a foul after he'd played on for a couple of seconds afterwards. There's a 5-man wall here for Everton. Foden hits that wall, it ricochets out towards this near touchline, and then Akanji, I'm not sure what he's doing, but he tried to volley it back towards halfway. It didn't quite come off, and it allowed Everton just to push up a little bit, but still City have the ball with 2.5 minutes to go before the break. Just right to the centre circle, Foden sends it crossfield, picks out Doku, stands on the ball, almost lost control, eventually did, and Coleman will bring it clear. He turns around in a turning circle, which wasn't great. He sends the ball back into the centre, Guardiola, looking for Haaland. It's spoon behind, it's out for a corner. That wasn't great from anyone, really. Not sure. Has it gone out? Has he touched it? Well, Pickford's organising his defence, and they now put the ball back down. It's going to be a retaken corner over on the far side.
Everton just need to take a breath and get their concentration right. Just get to half-time in at 1-1, and Sean Dyche will be very, very happy with that.
Well, there was a moment there where Seamus Coleman didn't clear his lines first time, and as a result has gifted this corner in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Comes back out to Savinho, right-footed shot, blocked by Doucouré. It's out as far as Kovacic, who's 10 yards back from the edge of the D. He feeds it left, and Bernardo Silva now has to wander back into an area where he can try and get the ball into the box. He gives it to Foden instead, who's tight to the touchline, level with the edge of the penalty area. Further back to Kovacic, and then Lewis, who is the back marker, just in front of the centre circle. And Manchester City's set piece has sent them all the way back to halfway in the end, and they're looking to build from deep. Big ball up towards Akanji. His touch isn't great, and away by Coleman, and then back over the top by Lewis. A hopeful ball which Iliman Ndiaye is trying to deal with, and despite the attentions of Foden, he clears, but only as far as Bernardo Silva, and then Kovacic takes over, moves forward, feeds Haaland onto Foden. His strike blocked by Coleman, it spirals behind and it's out for a corner, and Manchester City are hoping to finish this first half with a strong showing.
City huffing and puffing hasn't really happened for them yet. Still not really been able to test.
Tarkovsky's got a problem, he's gone down. That's going to delay the taking of this.
That's called experience.
Corner kick. Tarkovsky has gone down, now getting back to his feet.
There you go, experience, Sam. Just kill the game for a second. Just let everyone get their breath.
Didn't want to go off, so he decided to get up pretty quickly, but it was enough just to get them a second win as the ball comes in towards the 6-yard box. A poor corner, easily caught by Jordan Pickford.
Surprised he didn't fall on the floor, Jordan, then.
Oh, I'm still surprised that Seamus Coleman, when trying to turn with the ball, I mean, I don't know what you were like when you were learning to drive, but it was a 3-point turn for me. That was like a 12-point turn from Seamus Coleman.
But the difference was he got done over the top. Doku was in behind him, but the moment Doku had his touch, Seamus Coleman was on him.
Yes, that's true.
Whereas Rico Lewis,
great ball down the right-hand side for Mangala, finds Jack Harrison by the byline. His cross hits the face of Guardiola and goes out for a corner. Well, again, they switched off in that left fullback position, and Harrison escaped down the right touchline. And a better cross there, and there was a real problem for the retreating Manchester City backline.
You know, City aren't used to defending. Simple as that. You know, Seamus Coleman's spent pretty much all his life just defending. You know, that's what he does. Rico Lewis has been playing in midfield at times. You know, Guardiola's been playing. You know, plays further forward at times, dominating possession.
Here's the ball towards Dominic Calvert-Lewin on the edge of the 6-yard box. He gets the header in, but it's over the top of the crossbar and it goes out. And that might be the last action of the first half. The first half, which has got just one added minute, and that has come to an end. Well, usually on Boxing Day, sometimes you can get surprised, you can get shocked, but it is normal service, I'm afraid. Manchester City have failed to keep a clean sheet again. Our first commentary of our Boxing Day bonanza has reached half-time, and it's Manchester City 1, Everton 1.
Yeah, all 8 Premier League games are live and exclusive across the TalkSport network today. Some of them are only available on the TalkSport app, so get that on your phone. If you haven't already, I'm just wondering what you've been doing with your life. So get it on your phone, and if you click on live games, that will navigate you to the commentary of your choice. But here at half-time, live on TalkSport, City 1, Everton 1. I think for the first half, Danny Mills, I'll probably take issue with you a bit. I think it was a tactic, the diagonal. I think it was working.
And I completely agree, but it's very unusual.
But it was working. They were getting in behind.
But this is sort of almost where, we talked about City becoming not desperate, but they're having to do something different.
But they're less stubborn in their approach. You know, like we're saying, Martin.
And that's the sign. That's the sign of good coach. Going, you know what? It's not working. We have to do something different to win this game. And it's not a criticism. It's just they've hit more long balls in this game than I've seen them hit all season.
And it's very nearly paid off for them. The goal that came for City was from Bernardo Silva. He kind of tried a cross. I think the cross may well have reached the man, and I think they may have scored from that anyway. It's taken a flick off Jared Branthwaite and gone in. You could look at it as unlucky from Everton's point of view, and they will definitely claim it was unlucky. City will say they've had a lot of the ball and a lot in the right areas to have earned that bit of luck.
Yeah, but they haven't also created that many chances. That's the only real chance where they've got... Haaland's got in a couple of times, but it's been very, very wide, and he's had to put the ball wide the time he went round Jordan Pickford.
Well, Silva should have got a second when he sliced wide.
Yeah, but you're playing against Manchester City, still one of the best teams in the world, without a doubt. Whatever happens at the moment, they still are one of the best teams in the world. You expect to concede a couple of chances in the first half when they've got that much possession. But you look at it and going, it's almost 2 mid-table teams playing. There's not, when I'm watching this game, if you didn't know who the teams were, there's not a massive discrepancy in quality.
Do we not have to readdress what we're saying about Man City this season? We can't go on previous seasons. I've heard people on TalkSport saying, oh look, they're only 2 points behind City in the table, aren't they doing well? Well no, Man City are doing pretty terribly by their own standards. They're doing awfully by their own standards. They are miles off it. We're already saying before the new year they're not going to win the Premier League title this season.
I agree, but they've got treble winners, Champions League winners.
But they've got no confidence. It's like they've not won anything the way they're playing.
I understand that, but they're still good players. They still should be better than this. They should be able to turn up. I go back to that team when I was at Leeds and we were 16th in the table going into the penultimate game of the season. We were terrible for weeks on end. We went to Arsenal, who needed to win that game to win the title. Harry Kewell turned up, Mark Viduka turned up, we turned them over. Against all the odds.
I remember the game well, you were unplayable.
And they were unbelievable. And we had one of those days where we went, wow. It was just... And that's sometimes what you need. And that's what I said at the start. Sometimes in a run like this, you just need something different. And that might be long balls over the top. That might be a change of style or just do something a bit different. You just have to break the mould.
But the key is that Manchester City, you're right, they're not used to defending, and they haven't been defending. You could pick out three different areas, I think, for the goal that Everton scored, their equaliser. First of all, the cross shouldn't come in so easily from the right-hand side. Akanji has the ball right in front of him. All he has to do is clear it. He gets his body shape into an awful position and only flicks it on. And Rico Lewis seems to have no idea at right back that Iliman Ndiaye is right behind him. So there's 3 different areas there where it's terrible defending from Man City.
And that's where you can see the stark contrast between the two teams. Everton work purely on defensive work. Man City work purely on attacking work when they've got the ball.
So should Pep bring in Sean Dyche as defensive coach?
Well, a little bit of it. because again, we saw when Van Dijk wasn't at Liverpool, they struggled. When Company went missing for that little bit, City struggled. You've got to have good defenders to win stuff. You can't win it by winning 4-3 every week. Doesn't work. You know, simple as that. So City do have to be a little bit better than that. I said Seamus Coleman got done on the far post, the ball went out to Doku, but the moment Doku had his... Seamus Coleman turned, had sprinted, and was on his first touch. Rico Lewis, like I said, doesn't really know the players there.
That's basics, isn't it?
Has a look, oh, I better go, oh, too late, it's in the back of the net.
Because it's a good finish, yeah.
And that's not been a good defender, that's just been aware of what's around you.
And that is basics, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah. But because they don't practice it, because they don't have to, probably not used to doing it. Whereas, as I said, the opposite end, it's all Everton do. So they are drilled time and time again.
For City, Rodri's usually mopped it up by that stage, hasn't he? But they were there for the season, so they'd better get used to him not being there. And let's not forget as well, no Stones, no Diaz, no Edison, no Walker available today. They're not even on the bench today for Manchester City. Terrible defending, and Everton are right back in it. Who knows, they might even do a United and win this from a losing position. It is half-time, it is 1-1.
Did Jack Harrison score for Leeds here in the last minute? And robbed the game?
I'll check that.
I think it was Jack Harrison.
Not sure, but...
He was on the breakaway last minute and he literally ran the length. I'm sure it was Jack Harrison.
It was, I think, Jack Harrison with the run,
yes.
Stuart Dallas with the finish, yeah. But I also know Everton got a 1-1 draw here 2 years ago on New Year's Eve. So this time of year...
I think Ben Godfrey marshalled haaland very, very well. They basically had a fight, didn't they?
He did, and he turned into a fight, and it absolutely worked. But again, that's just really good tactics for the game at that time. One apiece at half-time. And I'll tell you what, the second half, I think, is anybody's guess what could happen. Everton will be happy, and I think Pep will be happy with certain things. Definitely not happy with the defending. Live and exclusive on TalkSport. The first of 8 live exclusive Premier League games today. At half-time, it's Man City 1, Everton 1.
Game day exclusive on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes, so if you've got a plan, we've got a van.
Hey, is your Aunt June still coming to Christmas dinner?
Yep, and her new boyfriend.
I'll get the extra chair.
And his daughter.
Oh, and some plates.
Plus her boyfriend. And his 2 mates, their girlfriends, their neighbours, their second cousins, twin sisters, the mailman, Glenn from down the road, his primary school teacher, my personal trainer, his... his dog, his... accountant Bill, the boss.
We're going to need to go to IKEA.
From extra plates to bedding and... everything between. Get guests ready.
Oh, and Grandma's staying over.
IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
You don't just check in.
Please visit talksport.com/commentaries to hear an alternative stream
you play on, you tuck in, and drink up. Village Hotels, 33 locations with everything under one roof. A huge gym with pool and great membership opportunities. And a buzzing pub and grill with delicious food, ice-cold beers and live sport. Village Hotels.com and work out, stay, meet and
Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
$1.39 at McDonald's gets you a delicious cheeseburger. $1.39 at a concert gets you... Testing. McDonald's Saver Menu. Actually get your money's worth. From 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary. Price varies on delivery, subject to availability.
Game day exclusive.
It's goal time.
Oh, and he's found the net!
Game day.
Live football coverage that's beyond compare.
Game day exclusive. Boxing Day special on Talk Sport.
We've got all these games live and exclusive on the TalkSport network today on Boxing Day. There's live exclusive Premier League football tomorrow night. Arsenal against Ipswich from 7 after drive with Darren Bent and Andy Goldstein from 4. And darts on the radio this Christmas. Play resumes at Alexandra Palace. TalkSport 2, 12:30 tomorrow lunchtime. One apiece here at the Etihad. Let's get the latest from Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage.
Game day on TalkSport with Betfair. Sport with Betfair. Get a completely free bet on multiples or bet builders this Boxing Day. Opt-in and previous deposit required. Max free bet varies from £1 to £10 per customer. Minimum odds and T's and C's apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
And back with us is James Mackey from Betfair. How's it looking? One apiece, James.
Yeah, City have upped and puffed in that first half, haven't they? Managed to blow the house down in the 15th minute with Bernardo Silva breaking the deadlock. But even with Everton's equaliser, they still are the 8-15 favourites to take all 3 points in the second half. It's been a bit of attack v defence in the first half with Everton this season, and for the game to finish how it is now, that can be backed at 9-4. Looking at the player markets at half-time, and Bernardo Silva broke the deadlock and arguably should have had a second, being a big threat for City going forward. He's 11-2 to grab a second in the game. Josko Guardiola, he's City's second highest scorer this season and nearly broke the deadlock when hitting the post. He's 9-1 to grab one any time and 20-1 to grab the next goal. And for Everton, the man who got the goal and die will be looking for a second in the final 45 minutes and can be backed at 9-1 to get a second. Just on the charity bet, lads, Idrissa Gana Gueye has made one foul, so that's in for the bet builder. We just need Haaland to grab one in the second half, and for City to obviously go on to win the game for all that £110 to go to the Bobby Morphin. So plenty to play for in the second half.
Haaland does usually score against City. Scored in all 3 games against them. Got 4 in those 3 games. So fingers crossed for that. That odds update all thanks to Betfair. Betfair.com. And before that at 3, it's Forest against Spurs already in place at the City Ground. Your commentator Adam Bridge and Mickey Gray. Quick one, Mickey, first of all, on I know you've seen the equaliser for Everton, but Manchester City is defending not quite up to scratch.
It's nowhere near, Adrian. It's just not something that you expect from City players. There's so many mistakes in the lead up to the goal. I mean, when they're trying to clear it away from the central area, I mean, that's just ridiculous. But when it goes over, to Rico Lewis as a fullback, and they're just not playing as well as we know they can do.
Adam, Forest against Spurs. These are in the wrong positions, these 2 teams, aren't they?
Just looking at where they both were at this time last year, Adrian, it's a complete turnaround. I mean, I think Spurs have lost 8 games this Premier League season. They didn't lose 8 until April last season, which is a sign of kind of how they've fallen and where they've dipped to, whereas Forest absolutely flying, of course, 4th in the table. That's 17 points and 13 places better off than they were at this time last season. And what a job Nuno's doing. And as ever with most of these things, he comes up against a side where he lasted, 17 Premier League games at 10 Premier League games, I think, won 5, lost 5, and obviously he got fired.
Amazing, isn't it? And Mickey, I don't know if you heard earlier, I gave this stat out that they've only conceded, Spurs have only conceded 2 in their last 4 away games. It's at home where they're conceding all the goals.
Yeah, maybe there's a bit of pressure playing in front of their home supporters, Adrian, and some of those players might not be able to handle it. So they'll be actually thrilled to pieces to be away from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium today and coming to the City Ground. But the record here, Nottingham Forest, is absolutely fantastic. You know, they've won 4 of the last 5. They're absolutely flying. They're in the top 4. I'm sure they'd love to be there come the end of the season. And I was just saying to Adam, Adrian, as I walked into this ground, it's the first time I've actually been here as a co-commentator. It's got that feel, you know, the history about the football club. As soon as you walk through the doors, you know that there's something special can happen at this stadium. And by goodness, they are absolutely flying this season. I'm so happy to be here. What a game we've got in store.
Absolutely, we'll take you there as soon as this one is done. That's Forest against Spurs coming up. 3 o'clock kickoff, live and exclusive on TalkSport. Back here at the Etihad, we are ready. 1-1 a significant scoreline. Sean Dyche has faced Pep Guardiola 17 times as a manager. He's lost 16, drawn 1. That draw was at Burnley 2018. You guessed it, it finished 1-1. It's Man City 1, Everton 1, second half, live and exclusive on TalkSport with Danny Mills and Sam Matface.
And we're underway, and you cannot rule out the possibility that he might go one better than that and be victorious with Everton today, because Manchester City's record is such that over the last 12 games they've lost 9 of them. So there's no guarantees, especially for Pep Guardiola, when there used to be absolute cast iron guarantees that they would come through a game against an opposition so lowly in the Premier League, a team ranked 15th at present, 4 points above the relegation zone, but Manchester City in a very different moment. And the last time that Everton won here, December 2010, Tim Cahill, Leighton Baines scored against a team that contained Tevez, Balotelli, Silva, Vincent Kompany, star-studded names, so they have done it before. City underway in the second half, attacking the goal away to our left. Light blue jerseys, white shorts and dark socks, and the ball is with Savinio. Everton defending the goal to our left, attacking where their supporters are behind the goal away to our right, in slate grey shirts with thick yellow trim. Here's Savinio trying to get into the box, gets past Mikalenko. Mikalenko dives in, sends the ball behind and away for the first corner of the second half. Danny Mills.
I think Sean Dyche's message at half-time been right. Look, you don't need to over-respect this team now. You know, you've shown what you can do, but you have to stay focused. You've got to keep your concentration, and you have to make sure we stay in the game.
Corner to the near post. Guardiola gets the flick on, unmarked, and it's stopped by Harrison at the foot of the post, and he manages to clear up over the halfway line. I'm a little bit concerned that Guardiola, for the second time from a set piece, has got the first contact.
Yeah. It's unusual for Everton, that. Pet's talk, team talk, no idea what it would have been, in all honesty, because it's like you've got to up the intensity with the ball, without the ball. Need to get the ball in and around the box, move it sharper, need to start creating some chances. His team talk would have been a lot more technical than Sean Dyche's would have been.
Guardiola wins it inside the Everton half. Gay tries to win it back and does successfully, and then tries to bundle his way forward and just about gets it over the halfway line. Now Dominic Calvert-Lewin is searching down the right side. He's outpaced Ake. He's got into the penalty area. He's almost bumped off the ball by Nathan Ake, and then it comes out towards the corner flag, and Calvert-Lewin has retained possession of the ball. He couldn't funnel it through to Harrison, and Doku's trying to bring it clear, but he's fought back well as Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and he's fed it to the edge of the D, and here's Idrissa Gana Gueye, tried to do too much. He's lost out to Phil Foden and Bernardo Silva, and City have got it back again. But again, a little bit of uncertainty and a little bit more desire from Everton to win the ball back when they've lost it.
A lot more. Simple as that. I think the stark contrast between the two teams is Everton's work rate, Everton's physicality, Everton's desire to put their foot in and make it difficult for the opposition. That might not be enough to get a point or even win the game, but Everton are massively better at it at the moment.
Here's Savinio, left-hand side, deep cross towards Haaland. Is behind him, and he can't get it on target with the header. It drops for Kovacic, edge of the area, looks to try and send it wide, gives it to Rico Lewis. Edge of the box on the far touchline is Savinio, then back into Foden, who clips it left towards Guardiola, chests it down under pressure from Harrison, feeds it to Doku, edge of the box. He travels along the 18-yard line, then has to turn and go back the other way because there's just numbers everywhere from Everton. And then Kovacic
guides it to Lewis, and they look to try again. We've played a little over 3 minutes of the second half. It's still 1-1 on TalkSport, the start of Game Day's brilliant Boxing Day service, where we bring you every game from the Boxing Day programme, including 8 games today from the Premier League and 2 from the Championship. Tomorrow we've got 2 games from the Premier League live and exclusive to national radio on TalkSport and TalkSport 2. Here's Guardiola, bit of space to run into. City fans getting behind their team latterly. Then it's on to Kovacic, back to Guardiola's, cross into the box. He's headed away by Branthwaite, and then it's picked up on the near side, and then Bernardo Silva travels into the box. Coleman helps it out, and it's out for a throw-in on this near side. Everton have had their moments against City before. They beat them 4-0 at Goodison Park not so long ago. Doku with a cross, comes back to Savinio's right-footed shot, is blocked by Pickford, comes back out of Kovacic, whose effort from the edge of the area is narrowly wide of the right-hand upright, and it goes out and behind and away for a goal kick. A smile on the face of Jordan Pickford, and a clap of the hands from Pep Guardiola.
I tell you what, Haaland does brilliant at the far post, because the cross is way above his head, but because he's able to jump about 8.5 feet in the air, he manages to keep the ball alive. And that first shot comes in. I think Pickford makes a good save, a good block. In the end, out to Kovacic on the edge of the box, and he just pulls it wide. But like I said, you know, Everton have got to survive this first 15 minutes again without conceding.
Here is Savinio travelling at place down the right touchline. Oh, Mikalenko goes down.
It's a penalty.
It was a late engagement from Mikalenko, and Savinio has won a penalty for Manchester City. He just looked even from this distance as if he'd mistimed that challenge, Mikalenko, who's already on a yellow card. And Savinio didn't take too much of an invitation to go down. He went past Gay on the outside, and he completely missed the ball there, Mikalenko. And he ended up engaging with Savinio's knee. He went down, penalty given, and it's the right call from Simon Hooper.
Savinio's stretching and slipping sort of at the same time, and I think, was it Mangala who just went past? He just stumbled after that, and I think because of that stumble, Mikalenko just hesitated for a split second.
Well, as I mentioned, he's already been booked. He probably should be getting a second one here.
No, I don't think so. I think the penalty's enough.
It's a poor challenge, Dan, isn't it?
I don't think that's a book. Why is it a booking? It's a foul. Not every foul has to be a booking.
I mean, you might say it's reckless.
Well, he's mistimed it by a fraction. That's what it is.
A yellow card for Seamus Coleman for delaying the taking of the penalty.
Well, he wasn't even ready to be taken, so that's nonsense. But no, I think because he stumbles first, Mikalenko then hesitates and then realises he has to engage, and that fraction of a second, then he does engage. Savinio is just able to get his toe to it, and he knocks it past him. It's a foul. It's not a booking for me.
Well, Erling Haaland has the ball in his hands. 18 goals in 24 games this season, only 3 in his last 12. But he has the opportunity to tuck this away, put Manchester City in front, and accept a gift that has come wrapped by Everton at the start of this second half. Can he unwrap it and take it? Left-footed, he sends it towards Pickford's left. Oh, and it's saved by the goalkeeper. And the rebound, he's headed in, but he's offside. Pickford gets the save, and Haaland, who's missed the penalty, puts in the rebound after it was centred by Guardiola, but he was in an offside position. He's chalked off, and Manchester City have looked a gift horse in the mouth.
It's a terrible penalty. It's really poor. I mean, it's blatantly offside, as Guardiola reacts first before anybody else. But again, just goes to show that even Erling Haaland is not infallible. He's missed a few penalties, hasn't he, this season? Wow. But I mean, that's a really poor penalty. I mean, it's to Pickford's right-hand side of what, yard and a half? It's a comfortable save for him in the end.
Well, they were checking the offside to make sure that it was correct.
It's miles off.
They didn't need to check it for too long, and Manchester City now have missed a big opportunity. Pickford comes out of his goal and clears after Haaland tried to rush him from the centre kick. Just back to Coleman, and Manchester City and need to make sure they shrug off that disappointment and continue to build as they were at the beginning of this second half. Pep Guardiola trying to raise their spirits by clapping his hands and trying to just encourage his team a little bit, who might have been very downhearted after seeing Erling Haaland miss from 12 yards. And Sean Dyche has just got to get his team back on an even kilter and utilise that let-off, that huge let-off, and try and build from there. It remains 1-1. City have missed the penalty.
Well, Pep's trying to energise his team, isn't he? Get them going. And Sean Dyche is doing the opposite, saying calm down. And I think, good save from Jordan Pickford. Went the right way, guessed correctly. Everton now just need to, again, take that deep breath and just go, OK, got away with one. Just get through the next 5 minutes or so. But again, it just goes from bad to worse for City.
10 minutes gone, second half. Manchester City 1, Everton 1. I'm sure Pep Guardiola will be thinking in the back of his mind, even if he's not going to lean on it, maybe Mikalenko, could he have been sent off there? Would that change the game?
It's not a sending off, Sam. It's not a sending off.
Is it a second yellow?
No, it's not.
I think he'll ask the question.
But why is it a booking?
Because it's reckless.
Why? It's not reckless. He's mistimed it by a fraction.
He's caught him on the knee.
Well, he's mistimed it by a fraction.
What does that mean? You don't get booked then if you mistime it?
So every foul's a booking then?
No, not necessarily.
Every foul's a booking.
What he will say, of course, in defence, Sean Dyche, is that the first one should never have been a yellow card in the first place.
It's not a booking, end of story.
Here is Doku, edge of the penalty area, getting it back to Tarkowski. And then it's all the way back from Branthwaite to the goalkeeper. Look, I don't want to see him sent off. I'm just telling you what Pep Guardiola, I think, will be saying. I think he'll be thinking that.
Look, not every contact is a foul. Not every foul is a yellow card.
Away by Ake. On halfway is Branthwaite toiling with Haaland. There's an offside flag up against him, and it's a free kick to Manchester City. What's key is that Manchester City keep their cool here, because that has certainly created a very flat atmosphere. That missed penalty has created a flat atmosphere inside this stadium.
I've just seen the replay before the penalty. Jordan Pickford like sticking his tongue out at Erling Haaland, having a little dance in front of him as well. It's a poor penalty.
He gets the right way, Pickford, and he's produced another save, and then he gave a little wink to his defence, and he's given the Everton fans a Christmas gift.
It's a character, isn't he?
He's definitely that. Listen, he's a brilliant, and do you know what? He's a character, but he's also a brilliant goalkeeper.
Oh, he is, yes, and I think because of that,
a really good goalkeeper.
It can have the Marmite effect, but but when he's on your team making saves like that, you definitely love it.
He's a proper goalkeeper, though, isn't he? I mean, he's a character, as you say, but he's let's say zany. There
like
you go.
A box of frogs.
Lovely flick on by Calvert-Lewin. On to Njai. Back to Calvert-Lewin inside the area. Ake comes across and puts it behind, and it's away for a corner over on the far side. Everton fans are the ones in fine voice now that you can hear over on the far corner. And Njai goes trotting across to take it. Down by the corner flag. Akanji claims that he was hurt in the build-up to that move, which has resulted in the corner kick for Everton, who we know are so effective from set pieces.
Well, Everton have been physical, but I don't think they've been physical. I don't think they've been overly physical. I don't think there's anything wrong with that challenge from Calvert-Lewin.
No,
it gets way above it, and it's a flick of a wrist on the side of the head, Sam.
It's nothing, is it, really? I mean,
you probably want to book him.
Dan, I know that you're robust and you can take challenges.
You'll find out in a minute.
And that you will give challenges out as well. But you know, the rules have changed since you were playing. Here is the free kick in towards the near post. There's a bit of pushing and shoving going on. Immediately the referee blows the whistle and it's a free kick. I don't want to see anyone booked or sent off. I'm asking the question.
No, I'm just
if asking the question is a problem for you, Dan,
not a problem at all. I'm just telling you. But you keep asking it. You're like a child. How many times do I have to tell you? It's not a booking.
You know, you bring yourself down to the level of the people you're working with. It's 1-1.
You talk about Adrian's a child. That's a bit harsh.
It's 1-1. You're listening to Talk Sport. It's Manchester City 1, Everton 1. We're hitting the hour mark. Given away again by City. Picked up by Doucouré. It's worked left onto Njai, who tries to turn and feed it back in field. He receives it off Mangala, and then it goes back out wide towards the left, and then it's into Branthwaite, who guides it to Tarkowski. We're reaching the hour mark. The ball clipped back out towards the far side. It's too heavy and too high for Njai, and Tarkowski's put it straight out of play, and it's away for a throw-in over on the far side. More fog descends on Manchester City Stadium. The Etihad
arena.
It's gloomy, isn't it?
It is a bit gloomy for Pep Guardiola, that's for sure, at the moment. Manchester City, who have won 6 of their last 7 Premier League games on Boxing Day, with the exception of a 2-1 defeat to Leicester Boxing Day 2018. But they usually win at home on Boxing Day. In fact, since returning to the top flight in 2002, and yet there was a time when they weren't in the top flight, the Citizens have won all 7 of their Boxing Day home games. But they're not winning here, it's 1-1. Lewis out towards the right-hand side, collected by Savinio. Tries to go on the outside and get the cross, and it's blocked. It goes behind and away for a corner kick over on the far side. Team news from our commentary game at 3 o'clock. Nottingham Forest against Spurs is Adam Bridge.
There's 3 changes for Spurs. Bentancur returns after his domestic ban. Udogie's in, and Johnson starts against his former club as well. As for Forest, just the one change, back to a flat back 4. Yates is in for Morata.
In towards the near post, Guardiola gets across his marker and tries to flick it goalwards, and it goes out and it's behind and away for a goal kick. We've got more live commentaries on our TalkSport app today and on TalkSport 2, where Alex Crook is watching a West London derby.
They look to move within a point of top spot. Gusto returns from suspension. Disasi makes way. 5 alterations for Fulham. Lukic, Pereira, Jimenez, Traore and Anderson all come in. Still no Smith Rowe for the visitors. It's Chelsea against Fulham.
Still no Kevin De Bruyne or Ilkay Gundogan here, and we hit the hour mark, and it's 1-1. Newcastle, Aston Villa at St James's Park might be the game of the day. Steve Harmison.
Changes for Newcastle: Joe Linton and Kieran Trippier in, Livramento and Willock out, and Aston Villa unchanged from their win versus City last week.
And back here it's 1-1 between Manchester City and Everton. We've hit the hour mark. You're listening to TalkSport. Here it's Kovacic just short of the halfway line, nudging the ball forward to Doku. Doku tries to turn and run at the Everton defence. He goes down the inside left channel. His dazzling feet almost taking him away from 2 players, but not a third in Tarkowski. And as it comes out to the edge of the area, Silva's shot is blocked. Here is Akanji, just in front of the centre circle. Moves forward, hands it off to Lewis. Lewis trying to look up and feed it into Foden. Foden now infield. A clip over the top to Silva and then back again to Foden. It's 1-1 on TalkSport. Manchester City making hard work of it again, missing a penalty in this second half. Savinio back to Phil Foden, who clips the ball left side looking for Guardiola, who uses his body to sort of almost jump on the back of Harris, and it goes behind and away for a goal kick given by Simon Hooper. Remember, live commentary this afternoon on all of the games today that are taking place. TalkSport, TalkSport 2 on the TalkSport app, including Bournemouth Crystal Palace, which is being watched for us by Ian Abrahams.
3 changes for Bournemouth: Aarons for Smith, Cook for Adams and Ennis now for Evan Nielsen. 3 changes for Palace and side thumped by Arsenal: Chalobah in for Richards, Munoz for Klein and Eberechieze returns for Kamada. This is live on the TalkSport app. It's Bournemouth and Palace at the Vitality.
And heavy metal football comes to the south coast. So, who's in the band? Dave Rowe.
We will say 2 changes for the New Southampton boss. Ivan Juric, Aribo and Dibbling drop to the bench. Ugachukwu and Onuachu both start. There is no Jack Stevens, who is available after a ban. For West Ham, Paquetá is suspended. Soler is back from a ban and comes back in. Rodriguez comes in for Alvarez, and Fulkrug does start up front.
Doku takes it on down the left side for Manchester City. 1-1 the score on Boxing Day. Out to the left and with Doku once again. He sends it back to the edge of the area. It's collected by Kovacic. His right-footed shot bounces off the defender, and now a chance to escape for Everton, who get it over the halfway line with Njai, up to Decore, and then across comes Dominic Calvert-Lewin to cause problems for Ake, and the ball goes out over on the far side, and it's out for a throw-in.
But you can see again there, City aren't really used to defending. So when the ball goes down that left-hand side, Rico Lewis start. Do I go? Do I engage? Do I not? He backs off, and then the next pass is allowed. Decore then plays it down the line. Ake ends up one-on-one, and then in the end just has to kick the ball out of play. It's very, very difficult for City when they're defending.
We've got, I think, fireworks going off outside. Not that you'll be able to see them in this weather. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is offside as the ball's played to his chest. He brings it down and hoiks it over the bar anyway, and it's going to be a free kick to City on the edge of their own penalty area. It remains Manchester City 1, Everton 1, and it's quite clear what the problem is for Manchester City. I mean, a lack of confidence, yes, but they just don't keep enough clean sheets anymore, do they? 1 clean sheet in 13 games in all competitions.
Intensity as well. They used to be renowned for their intensity and their work rate. I've not quite seen it at the moment.
Savinho over on the far side. They need to get themselves in a semblance of form pretty soon because they are still in the fight to stay in the Champions League. They've got PSG who are also scrapping to stay in that competition. Foul by Guardiola, referee doesn't punish it, instead he allows Seamus Coleman to escape with the ball, and he sent it long for Calvert-Lewin, who's in behind Ake and running towards goal, but he just showed too much of it to Ake, and Ake was allowed to recover as a result. If he'd just played that ball slightly at a different angle, he would have been in there, Calvert-Lewin.
First touch wasn't perfect, and that allowed Ake just a second chance.
Mangala picks it up in midfield. He gets away from one challenge and then goes down. Referee says no foul, and Jai takes it on. Everton just trying to keep hold of it now, and Jai, who is very good with his feet, dazzles down the left touchline, takes on Rico Lewis, goes down under pressure from Foden, wants a free kick, doesn't get one from Simon Hooper, and City come away with the ball. It's getting a little bit stretched and a little bit chaotic now. 65 on the clock. No substitutions from either team have been made yet. There's a lot of replacements warming up away to our left-hand side. And who's happier with the game state? Sean Dyche, I would ascertain. You just wonder whether or not, because of the lack of depth on the bench, whether Pep Guardiola has any confidence in making any changes.
Well, again, it's that decision. If he doesn't bring on De Bruyne or Gundogan and brings on somebody else, they ain't going to be happy. And they're both senior, experienced players with a voice.
Foden, Doku pokes to the wide area for Guardiola to join, but across comes Seamus Coleman, gets across and clips it out on this near side. Thrown in by Bernardo Silva. Back in field it goes to Kovacic. Kovacic travels a couple of paces into the Everton half, and he's now in the dead centre of it when he releases it to Lewis. Lewis again moves forward and then goes on to Bernardo Silva, back out to Guardiola once more. And then it's into Kovacic.
Broja's coming on, I think, for
Foden
Everton.
into Haaland, inside the area now. Branthwaite gets across and does brilliantly to nick it off his toes. And Everton do well to bring it out of defence. And Mangala travelling with it, waits for the run of Harrison. Harrison joins up on halfway, tries to twist away from Doku. The ball didn't go out of play. Everyone stopped, then they didn't, and now they've started to move in City's favour out towards the right. Foden takes it on, nudges it into the path of Savinho, clips his shot towards the far corner, but it's way over the top of the crossbar, and it floats out for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. Again, out comes Dyche to the edge of the technical area, comes over to Decore. They have a shouting match. That's quite animated, that.
Yeah, but you don't mind that. It's passion, the caring. You know, the players are saying, look, you know, you need to change something, you need to sort something out. That senior players having a voice. They're going, look, it's getting a little bit ragged at the moment. It's getting a little bit too open for Everton's liking. Need to make a change.
Manchester City 1, Everton 1. The latest odds according to Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get Manchester City 5-4 to come win the game. The draw is 6-4. Everton are 8-1 to win it. It's all thanks to Betfair, who are paying out winning bets at 90 minutes with 90-minute guarantee. Terms and conditions do apply. This is Kovacic looking to send the ball in behind the defence. Branthwaite sticking to his task brilliantly with Haaland again. Gets there, stops him from receiving it. Haaland does enough to feed it to Bernardo Silva. Kovacic, back in field he goes to Foden. Is immediately engaged by Decore. His fitness is terrific, by the way. Decore gets up and down really well at 31 years of age.
Oh, one thing Everton will do is work hard, guarantee that.
One of the fittest teams around. Here is Guardiola, back to Kovacic. Kovacic a bit of space to run into for the first time, then plays it to Rico Lewis. He slides the ball behind Haaland, it goes straight through to Pickford. You're listening to Manchester City 1, Everton 1 on TalkSport with Sky Sports, and don't forget you can stream the biggest Premier League games live and available with no contract on now. Search Now Sports.
Looks like it'll be a straight swap, Broja, for Calvert-Lewin. Just add a little bit of pace and a little bit of energy, I'd have thought, up front.
Here is Lewis, who has given the ball away cheaply, and Mangala has turned it over and quickly released Decore. Decore to halfway, he's got Njai out to his left, Calvert-Lewin in the centre, Harrison joining on this near side. They look for Harrison. Harrison receives it, the former City player, never played an official appearance for them, but he has the ball and he's trying to terrorise them now. Gets to the byline, produces a cross, it's a deep one. Decore was allowed to get his shot in, he took a deflection and goes behind, and he can't believe that it's not a second goal for Everton. Great cross by Harrison, picked out Decore, but he's got so much time. to allow this ball to drop out of the sky with no pressure, and eventually his shot is deflected by Lewis behind for a corner.
And again, I hate to dig him out, but Rico Lewis goes in towards Calvert-Lewin, and it's the wrong thing to do because Akanji's already marking him, and he leaves the Decore completely unmarked at the far post, and it's Rico Lewis that is fortunate that the shot hits him and goes out for the corner.
1-1 here. Leyton Orient lead at half-time against Crawley in League One by 1-0. It's Hearts 1, Hibs 1. Here's the corner for Everton, attacking the goal away to our right. It's a high, loopy one. It's a poor delivery by Njai. And Tarkovsky's actually having to run out towards the near side just to keep it alive. He does that. And then Coleman sends it back to halfway. Mikalenko has it now. And then it's back down the right for Decore, but it's over the head of Guardiola. And the Malian just watches it go out of play, and it's out for a goal kick to the home side, Manchester City. 1-1. Here's Armando Broja coming on to replace Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And Calvert-Lewin, I think, actually has done all right at the top of the formation, working hard to hold up the ball and to run the channels, and cause Manchester City a few problems. Broja just gives them something a little bit different. What does he give them?
Yeah, I think obviously he's coming back from fitness. Obviously he's been there since the start of the season, hasn't really been involved. Was injured, I think, when they took him. But I think he's a bit more direct. He's got a little bit more pace. And I think you've seen a couple of times where Calvert-Lewin's almost got in behind that City back four. I think Broja, with that bit of extra pace, as the game sort of wears on and players get tired, could cause one or two problems.
By the way, if you hear us call him Broja or Broja throughout the course, or Broja, over the course of the next 40 minutes or so that we've got this game live on TalkSport, don't blame us. He doesn't know what his name is. So I asked him how he wanted us to say it, and he said within literally 20 seconds, two different versions of the same name. So it depends on who he's talking to as to how he wants to be called, but he doesn't care.
And often it's accent dependent, isn't it?
Here is Doku approaching the middle of the Everton half. He sends it wide to Silva, towards the near post. It's headed away by Tarkovsky, and then it's a foul given against Guardiola, and a free kick on the edge of the 6-yard box.
Reckless, late,
probably a yellow card, that.
But I mean, I'm being a bit facetious there.
No,
but it's late, and he's taking him out.
Well, actually,
he's taking him out way beyond.
No, his studs weren't on the knee. That's not comparable. There was.
Set for more live sport, more incisive pundit comment and opinion, and more Andrew McKenna.
Thank you very much. That'll do.
Sport radio that hits. Two for six. Two. Sport 2.
Oh, that's what ball, and he's ball him, he's dragged it back. For the stumps.
performance level is miles away.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
And there's, you can see it, that they're almost wearing it like a cloak, the lack of confidence. Off comes Doku, on comes De Bruyne, and that might precipitate a bit of a change. The captain's armband transfers from Bernardo Silva to Kevin De Bruyne, who so often has got them out of a hole, so often has dug them out when they've needed a little bit of help. Can he do that today? Is there still that in him? 33 years of age now, Kevin De Bruyne, linked with a move to San Diego at the start of the next MLS season. Does that mean he'll leave in January? Does it mean that he might wait until the end of this season when his contract runs out? We shall see. Branthwaite, who gets there ahead of Haaland, but at what cost? Because he dived in and managed to hook his foot around Haaland, and he's hurt his knee in the process. Now you can only hope here that as Haaland skipped away from him, he caught him with a back of his heel, and it's just an impact injury. What you don't want is for that to be a significant knee twist, because he did go down. Yeah, maybe it is. He just stepped on the front of his knee, maybe. You hope that's no more significant than it certainly looked initially.
I'm not sure there is that much contact from Erling Haaland, which is a bigger concern in that. I mean, I think the referee was right to stop it. Everton had the ball, so there was no really issue for City, you know, breaking away at that stage. But I think he slides in, maybe just jars his knee in the floor.
You don't want him hurt. He's been an absolute tower of strength since coming back. Jared Branthwaite, 7th straight Premier League start. They've kept clean sheets in 5 of the last 6 when he's been around. And, you know, after a really difficult game against Haaland last year in this fixture, he did brilliantly so far today in marshalling Haaland. And they will not want to lose him with 14 minutes to go. Remember, we've got live coverage of all the Boxing Day games coming up straight after we finish. Nottingham Forest against Spurs live on TalkSport, Wolves against Manchester United later, then Liverpool against Leicester tonight from 8 o'clock. Every game from the Boxing Day feast of football is only on TalkSport. It's 1-1 here. Goals coming from Bernardo Silva and Iliman Ndiaye. A safe penalty from Erling Haaland by Jordan Pickford will get headlines as well. But it remains 1-1 and only 13 minutes to go. And this will mean that Manchester City would have won 1 of the last 13 if this scoreline remains the same. And that is a troubling turn of events for Pep Guardiola. Ortega has the ball inside his 18-yard box. He bowls it out into Bernardo Silva's feet, who's deeper now. And
he's got to let Branthwaite back on, surely.
Branthwaite is off the pitch as we get back underway, and now he is waved back on. I think once you have treatment, you have to have 30 seconds off the pitch, don't you? That's the sort of...
Yeah, but he didn't ask for treatment, remember. It was the referee that called the trainer on, so I think you have to have a little bit of leeway within that. You can't send the player off the pitch. That was the referee's call, remember.
Everton, who had failed to score in 6 of their last 7 Premier League games before today, are on the score sheet here. Here's Savinho trying to find Haaland inside the area. Oh, he's headed the ball backwards. He's just on the edge of the 6-yard box. The cross comes in from Savinho. Why did he not go for goal, Dan?
I'm not quite sure whether was it Tarkowski and Coleman jumping in front of him, just maybe put him off slightly, and he just lost the flight of the ball.
Savinho to De Bruyne. Edge of the D is Phil Foden trying to poke it through, away by Coleman. Yeah. Do you know what, though? When you look at the way City attack, there's just a lack of purpose, a lack of sort of confidence in their attack. They don't look as if they've got it in them to score a goal here. Kevin De Bruyne is fouled, and the free kick is given 20 yards from the... 10 yards from the edge of the D, a little bit further out from the penalty area, so it's a bit of a way out, and there's a yellow card, I think, from Mangala, who missed the ball and collided with the feet, and he does get a yellow card for that.
Yeah, I'm not convinced. No, I mean, it's his trailing leg that catches him slightly. It's a foul. If you're going to give a yellow card for every tackle like that, we're going to end up with 7 or 8 players on the pitch.
Well, we've got 11 and 11 at the moment, and we've got 11 minutes to go. And Manchester City, well, they're in danger of losing more ground on the race for the top 4 if they don't get a victory here. But they have Phil Foden and Kevin De Bruyne.
Just look at Akanji
over
at the back
ball
post.
Now. He's primed and ready to run, but the ball's not good enough for him. It comes back out to Kovacic, blocked by Mangala, and now Broja is looking to escape, and he's pushed it in front of his body, and the Albanian is scurrying forward over the halfway line. He's got into the City half, but he hasn't got much support, so he has to stop, turn and go back, but it's good centre forward play by Armando Broja.
He had absolutely no options, and he was breaking away, and it was basically him against 6, so he did exactly the right thing.
Harrison has the ball switched to him on this near side, tries to get the cross in, blocked by Guardiola. And Guardiola gives him a clap above his head because he says that's good defending. 1-1 on TalkSport. Leyton Orient League crawley as they start the second half in League One. In the Premiership in Scotland, it's Hearts 1, Hibernian 1. Jesper Lindstrom is about to come on for Everton. Forward by Pickford, or he's just rushed that kick and it's gone straight out of play. And actually it's complaining that Harrison wasn't in the right position, and Harrison is apologising for it. So
is Njai struggling? Is that what it is? Dyche was trying to get him off very quickly there.
Yeah, and he's actually turned around to the 4th official and he's said to David Webb, look, the ball's gone out of play, we're ready, you didn't get the substitution sorted. Now he wants it, and now they will get it done over on the far side, and there is a bit of an issue here for an Everton player. Njai is sitting down, he gets switched out, and he's switched out for Jesper Lindstrom, who won the Europa League with Eintracht Frankfurt a couple of seasons ago under Oliver Glasner.
Well, he's just got to come on. He's going to work very, very hard on that left. Is he going to go to the left-hand side?
I'd have thought so.
Yeah. Normally plays on the right, but obviously Harrison plays on this side. But he's just got to go out there now with energy, concentration. I've only got just under 10 minutes to go.
They can see this out and get a famous draw here. This will be a big result for them. I mean, if Everton were offered 3 draws against Arsenal, Chelsea and Manchester City prior to the Christmas period, all those Everton fans that have made the 45-minute journey from Liverpool down the M62 or the East Lancs Road would have snapped your hand off.
And that's what I said beforehand. Even if they were to lose this, they're still probably ahead of the curve of how many points they thought they were going to pick up within this run. Because obviously it was Wolves they played, wasn't it? Obviously that beat them. And then you thought after that, you're thinking, oh, wow. Then it's a real tough set of fixtures they've got to face.
Leicester live on TalkSport for Manchester City next on Sunday. West Ham at home, then Salford at home in the FA Cup. Brentford away and then Ipswich away before they play PSG in that big game. Hibs have taken the lead in the Edinburgh Derby. 2-1 now to Hibs against Hearts at Tynecastle. Here it's 1-1 on TalkSport. Jesper Lindstrom's got it in the left wing position. A low cross into the box, looking for Broja, who can't control. He sets it back, takes a deflection. Could have gone anywhere. Does just go wide of the goal, and it's a big let-off. Mangala's effort, it took a wild deflection as he cracked it from the edge of the area. I think this comes off Akanji, it does. And I tell you what, Ortega had the first shot covered, but if that had spooned off into the corner of the net, he was nowhere near it.
I think the first one was going wide, but it catches his heel, spins up, and then sort of the whole of the Man City crowd are that gasp of where's it going to end up. Unfortunately for them, it just dropped wide.
Here's the corner kick on the near side to be taken by Harrison, left-footed. It's deep towards the far edge of the box, headed back across the face of goal, and it's straight into the arms of Stefan Ortega. And Simpson Hughes is about to come on for Manchester City. They're going to make a change. And Everton, who after this match entertain Nottingham Forest on Sunday, then they go away to Bournemouth the following week. They've got a huge game, a tough game in the FA Cup. They face Peterborough, and I know that Adrian Durham very much looking forward to that on a Thursday night, live on TalkSport. And then Aston Villa the following Wednesday in that huge round of games that takes place in the midweek in January.
Got a feeling that Peterborough won't be Sean Dyche's priority.
Really?
Sorry, Aid.
I can't believe you said that. You'll be on Santa Durham's naughty list if you talk like that. Here is Ake, centrally to Kovacic. Gundogan coming on as well. Two ends of the age spectrum about to come on for Manchester City. De Bruyne tries to funnel it through to Haaland. A tightly packed, excellently oiled machine the Everton defence managed to squeeze the ball away from the Norwegian and get it out to the far side. 6 minutes to go. Lindstrom, it's played behind him, he couldn't control it, it goes out of play. It's away for a throw-in, and this will be the pause which allows them to replace Nathan Ake, who has had 3 significant injuries already this season and can't play the full 90, to be replaced by Simpson Pusey, and Gundogan to come on in place of who? Kovacic? Interesting change. What do you make of it?
Confusing, I would say, because it's not like you're going for it. You put a centre half on. Is that concern that Broja might get in behind Ake?
It might be a concern for Ake, who's, as I mentioned, had 3 significant injuries already this season. He's only just come back, and this is his first start since December the 4th. So they might just be protecting him for the last few minutes. It might be that they need a little bit of craft in midfield, which is why they've switched Kovacic out for Gundogan. They certainly do need some craft, because there's 5 minutes to go, and it's 1-1, and they're in danger of dropping more points. More points in the race, which now looks like a race to get into the top 4.
Oh, they aren't in the title race
for Manchester City.
Let's be honest. They're not in the title race. They could win every game from now to the end of the season, and they won't win the league.
Well, they haven't officially given up the chase yet, Dan. But it does look incredibly unlikely that they will be involved in it. Although they're only 7 points worse off at this stage last season, when they were 34 from 17.
Yeah, but Liverpool are much better.
Here is Lewis, just in front of the centre circle, moving it out to the right side, collected by Savinho. Savinho looking to take on Lindstrom. Lindstrom gets there, wins it, takes it off Savinho's toe. Savinho stops because he thought it was a foul. Referee didn't give it. It's cleared away by Everton, and it goes out over on the far side. 4 minutes for Everton to survive. Usually in these scenarios, going back the 6 or 7 years that Guardiola has been in charge, there's a late goal, and it's usually a City one. Will there be one conjured today? Out on the left-hand side, the ball is collected by Bernardo Silva. Then it's on to De Bruyne. It's a poor ball into the box, easily cleared away by the stooping Tarkowski. Still, they're camped on the edge of their own penalty area here. Everton just desperate. Oh my dear. It's play on, says the referee, as De Bruyne sends it into the centre. It's cleared away before it can reach Haaland. I mean, that was a really poor challenge by Branthwaite.
It is a booking,
and he will get yellow carded in a minute. But at the other end, Broja is escaping because the advantage was played and it came to absolutely nothing. It's played behind Doucouré, who keeps it alive, pokes it to the left. Idrissa Gana Gueye. It's Everton on the attack here, and it's up on the left with Lindstrom. Lindstrom in the area now, goes on the outside, produces a cross, it takes a deflection, goes behind. Was there a handball there? No. And Simon Hooper says, I've got to go back and book Jared Branthwaite for what was a really poor tackle just before Kevin De Bruyne escaped down the right side, produced a cross which I thought was going to yield a chance, but was easily dealt with by the Everton defence.
Yeah, it was late. Came in from the angle from behind and the side. Didn't get anywhere near the ball. It was always going to be a booking. Would have been interesting, though, wouldn't it, if Everton had gone up the other end after that and scored. That would have caused a few issues, I think, for City.
A few heart palpitations, I think, were going on as they broke, because they looked a little bit misshapen when the first ball went up, and there was 3-on-3 at one stage. 2.5 minutes to go. It's 1-1. Another sedate atmosphere at the Etihad Stadium, because their momentum has been sucked out of Manchester City. 1-1 the score. Leyton Orient 3-0 up against Crawley, and Hearts 2-1 down at home in the Edinburgh derby. Here the ball is with Bernardo Silva. Haaland's missed a penalty, remember. Here is Guardiola cutting infield from the left touchline, feeding Akanji, a chance to cross possibly. Goes out to Savinho. Savinho goes to go on the out. I mean, I don't know what he was doing there, but he tried a trick which...
he got away with one as well. He
sort of spooned it into the path of Rico Lewis, who made it look like it was supposed to be something, which it probably wasn't. Akanji out to Savinho, rides the challenge this time, goes down the outside, skips past Doucouré, gets a left-footed shot blocked by Mykolenko, who threw himself full-blooded at the ball. He goes out again to engage with Akanji, and that takes the sting out of the shot. Now comes Pickford, and he grabs it and holds onto it for dear life. And Everton think they're going to get away with a point here at the Etihad Stadium. They don't usually. They've had real problems against Manchester City away from home. They've had no victory here since 2010, but a draw. Well, they'll be happy with that. They like to draw games. They've been involved in a lot of them so far this season, and they'll take that, especially from this opponent. Manchester City again have had another afternoon which hasn't gone their way. They were given a penalty for a poor challenge by Mykolenko, but they couldn't convert it, and they haven't created enough in this second half then, I don't think. When you look at the statistics and you look at what they've offered up, 22 goal attempts but only 5 on target.
Yeah, and a couple of those were sort of weak headers. One was from Haaland, wasn't it? I mean, Jordan Pickford has made one decent save in the game. I mean, apart from the penalty, but one other decent save, I would say. Yeah. That's it.
Coleman's asked to come off. He's been replaced by Nathan Patterson, who emerges at right back for injury time, and we're about 30 seconds away from that. Manchester City still have the ball. You know, it's troubling really that you've only had 5 shots on target and one of those was a penalty. Here is Silva down the left-hand side, cross blocked by Patterson, and it goes out for a set piece late on in the game. As we approach the final few seconds of this match, the 4th official comes out to the halfway line. He raises the ball to the sky. 6 added minutes.
Why?
Crikey.
Where's he got 6 from?
De Bruyne into the near post, flicked on by Gundogan, headed away by Mykolenko. Gay up into the air, not a great clearance. He sort of shanked that into the air. Doucouré, another one that's just been hoisted away, fallen to Gay, who goes down but hits the ball out of play and away for a throw into Manchester City. Well, Manchester City might think they've got a bit of momentum. Sean Dyche is screaming at his team, you've got to get out, you've got to get out, as City once again come forward. Are being roared on by their fans now, and that hasn't been apparent for most of the game here. 91 minutes on the clock, 1-1 the score. Is there a late twist in the towel for Manchester City?
And the physio's been on once in the game.
Well, there was the big injury, wasn't there, to Branthwaite. Here's Lewis inside the box, right footed shot from the edge of the area, and it's hoisted over the top of the crossbar, and it's over and out and away for a goal kick away to our left.
But that was it. There's been no VAR reviews. There's been nothing else. 6. I mean, and the referee called the train on straight away, and Branthwaite went off within the minute.
Header injury for Akanji, maybe some substitution. 6 does seem excessive, doesn't it?
It's a lot, I think,
for a game that hasn't had too many pauses in it. But there'll be some now, because there's no doubt that Jordan Pickford will delay every possible second every time he gets the ball.
Odds of Jordan Pickford getting booked in the next 5 minutes.
Very, very short. You're listening to TalkSport. It's Manchester City 1, Everton 1 on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever the mission, home or away, Enterprise helps 120,000 people.
Pep's just had a go at the ball boy
day. Well, for delaying the restart.
Well, for not throwing the ball back.
Did he get booked? Here is De Bruyne. Here is Simpson Pusey. On to Bernardo Silva. And then it's back towards Akanji, and now on to De Bruyne. De Bruyne midway inside opposition territory, trying to carve open this resolute Everton defence for only a second time to all, given away by Savinho. Chance to break for Everton. Will they break, or will indeed they keep hold of the ball? No, broke they did. Over the halfway line, down the left-hand side is Doucouré, leading the charge, gets to the edge of the area, leaves it for Harrison. He's got Gay in support. He plays it to Gay. Big chance for Everton. This it hits the hand of Guardiola, does it? And it's smuggled behind. It goes out for a goal kick, according to the referee.
I think it might be handball, but it might be very close off a thigh or another player, and that's probably why it's not going to be given.
Well, it came down the right-hand side, and to be fair, Guardiola had his hands behind his back, no chance of a handball.
But I think it was Pusey behind, was it that it hit maybe, but it was so close to me, you can't give that as a penalty.
Right, it's picked up by Foden, who wants to switch to play out towards the left. They scored in stoppage time at Aston Villa. Can they do it again today? Away by Tarkowski as the left wing cross comes into the box. It's headed away by Patterson, but only as far as Gundogan, who played 3 of the 6 that have been added on at the end of the game. It's up to Foden, back to Lewis. Goes towards the wide right and Savinho. Savinho hasn't had enough guile to beat the 2 players in front of him, Mykolenko and Lindstrom. The only time he did, he earned his team a penalty, but they couldn't convert that. Manchester City. Broja's done brilliantly again, holding the ball up. Then he's tugged back, and that's going to be a yellow card for, I think, Phil Foden, who pulled his pants down. And we got a brief glimpse of Armando Broja's tidy-whities.
Sloggies. There are sloggies, them.
They're not my style, I wouldn't know.
You've not quite got the body for it, Sam. I think you've got, I think they call it a dad bod.
And Danny Mills
wins understatement of the year. Ball cleared away by Jordan Pickford. Clipped high into the air. 2 minutes to go before the end of the game. Foden wins the header. De Bruyne away, Gundogan forward, but Tarkowski will dive in on halfway to win it back for Everton. Mangala, who's done well in midfield, does brilliantly just to do enough to poke it through towards Broja, and they're stretching every sinew now, Everton, just to keep themselves in the game here in the final exchanges of the match. Patterson's just skipped it down the right side, and he's overhit that, and he didn't mean to do it, but it's given the ball back to Manchester City inside their own half. Simpson Pusey forward. For Manchester City, 1-1 the score, in danger of dropping more points in the race for not only the title but for Europe as well, because that's where they're aiming now. The title probably has slipped out of their hands, and they'll know that. De Bruyne moving forward, tries to tuck it down into Savinho. Savinho with a left-footed cross which takes a deflection into the box. Tarkowski heads it away. It'll fall for Broja, who takes it out of the sky, and no pressure on him, and he's run over halfway. 4 on 2 in Everton's favour. What are they going to do here? Broja holds on to it. Harrison at the back post is Decore. He cuts in left-footed, tries to score himself. They didn't make the most of that situation. They should have won the game, Everton. It was 4 on 2. Lindstrom down the left-hand side into the edge of the penalty area. 95 minutes and 30 seconds have been played on TalkSport at the Etihad, and what an opportunity that was for the away side to steal all 3 points.
It was, but look at the game management now. They could have tried to score again, but they didn't. They went back and they killed the game off, because they know that a point is absolutely vital.
Absolutely
in this
vital
game
for them, and it's a killer for Manchester City. Manchester City, who were all conquering for so long, but now don't seem to be able to conquer anyone.
That's got to be it,
and surely that's the end of the game. Pep Guardiola, who made his players train last night,
what's Sean Dyche's reaction?
Overnight in the Etihad campus last night, may have been as grumpy as the Grinch before, but now he looks like a kid whose Christmas present has already been broken. Ball sent long down the left. There's the full-time whistle. And it's another disappointment for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City. And look, with the takeover completed, the stadium handed over, and results taking an upturn, Everton's season is starting to look a lot brighter. But just when you think Manchester City's season can't get any worse, they failed to beat a side who had made their worst start to a season in 66 years. It's another game where City have failed to raise themselves to the levels they know they are capable of, but it's starting to feel as if there is no way out. Delighted is Sean Dyche with a point here. Disappointed is Pep Guardiola, who goes across to Erling Haaland, who missed the second half penalty at 1-1, and that is how it finishes. All square at the Etihad. It's Manchester City 1, Everton 1.
Well, Man City in 6th place right now. By the end of the day, they may well not be in 6th place. Everton into 15th place in the bottom half of the table, but a much better day for Everton than it has been for Manchester City. And there were some boos for the champions from these City fans here on Boxing Day. They expected that some sort of kick-start of the season was going to happen here today, particularly after going 1-0 up, particularly after being given a penalty at 1-1. But the penalty was saved by Jordan Pickford, and it remained all square. But what was telling right at the end, Danny Mills, Kevin De Bruyne was probably one of the first down the tunnel, wasn't he?
I noticed that. I tried to point that out to Sam, that he just turned and left the field. Pep sort of went towards him, but it wasn't very acrimonious, was it? It wasn't a pat on the back and a handshake. I think Kevin De Bruyne did not look happy. Yes, he'll be disappointed with the result, but I think equally he'll be very, very disappointed. He only got, what, 15 minutes or so?
He came on with 15 minutes of the 90 left, you're absolutely right. Now, you could argue he's had 20 minutes because 6 was added on to do something that hasn't really impacted the game at all. He would definitely argue, hang on a minute, I should have been given more than that. I should have been on at least 60, or for the second half.
Well, probably as soon as the penalty was missed, I'd have put him on.
Well, he was warming up for ages, and then at 60, he went and sat back down, and I'm thinking, surely they're finding it tough to break Everton down, as a lot of teams do, and we'll talk about Everton in a second. I just thought it was very strange from Pep Guardiola. Maybe he thought, well, we've done enough to earn a penalty, which normally we'd score, so let's keep on doing those things.
I think as soon as that penalty's missed, you've got to put him on and keep building that ascendancy. You know, get quality on, get experience on the pitch. I mean, hats off to Everton. They did a job again today. Look what they've done in their last 3 games. Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City. Draw. That's a magnificent set of results to pick up 3 points in those games. So all credit to them. They made it very, very difficult for Man City today. Man City, reluctant to say they were off it, because they've been off it for the last 12 games, effectively. Man City were Man City. Everton were more intense in their press, were more intense with the ball. Worked harder. What the Man City wanted it today.
All right, people, it's all over here. Another disappointing result here for Manchester City, guys. Manchester City won Everton, guys, on Boxing Day like that. It was a must-win game here for Manchester City, considering the fact that they have lost a lot of games, guys, and they were playing at home tonight against an Everton side that is really struggling, you know. I thought like Manchester City were supposed to dominate this game and at least trash everything here, but then people, they made it hard for themselves. Like the Haaland missing a penalty in the second half, man, that was diabolical. That was diabolical from Haaland missing that penalty like that. And so Manchester City, they have shared the spoils here with Everton, guys. Can you imagine? At home at Etihad Stadium. And another disappointment here for Manchester City fans and the club like that. And the season, guys, Manchester City, I don't think like they can actually turn this around. They should be fighting for maybe top 6 right now, because guys, it's not looking good for this Manchester City side. But anyway, people, no time to waste here. A lot more streams are coming up on the channel, so people, full time is also coming in here. It is Manchester City 1, Everton 1 on Boxing Day, guys, and I'm going to see you on the next one. Bye for now.
Alvin, no?
Yeah, well, I agree with that. I agree with that. And I agree also that when managers come out and stand in front of a camera or a microphone, John, it is their opportunity to speak to the fans directly. And you know, and they've got to understand that. And there will be times when they're frustrated, but they've got to understand that, you know, if the fans don't understand what you're trying to do, it's going to make your job even harder. So it's your one opportunity to say, look, we have got players out, and it doesn't matter how good a coach I am, that, you know, that's going to be a problem for us. But I try to do it this way because of that. But at least then, fans know, and fans are much more educated now. You know, they have access to a lot of stuff that in days gone by you wouldn't have had. So I think you have to take that on board. That you're not speaking to your 100,000 fans who don't know anything about the game. You're speaking now primarily to people who do have a fair education of what they want.
Yeah, some very clued up fans out there, of course. Nottingham Forest then versus Tottenham is our live game over on TalkSport at 3 p.m. Chelsea versus Fulham here on TalkSport 2. Let's take a quick look at some of the other games. Newcastle versus Aston Villa. Another Chris Wood's former clubs. It's kind of a big test for Newcastle, but it seems like recently they've got things together a bit more. I'm a little bit worried though that I see Alexander Isak mentioned as, you know, the big clubs now, and I say big with, you know what I mean. Obviously Newcastle a huge club, but the big clubs are circling around him now. He's proving that he is possibly the guy to solve a few problems for a few massive Champions League clubs. It's very important they keep hold of him in January.
Well, I think anyone that scores 23 Premier League goals in a year, 2024, you know, people are going to be looking at him and saying, well, you know, he's guaranteed goals. And some of the big boys, like you say, Manchester United, you know, everyone needs a player like that up front if they're going to win things. I don't think you can win a Premier League title without somebody who's going to get you, 20 league goals, certainly 18 to 20 league goals per season.
A lot of times, and I saw him play against Forest recently, and I know he had a pretty good game against City as well, where obviously he was at City before, hit the ground running. Can he back up what he did against City with another good display today?
Again, I look at Villa and I think, God, they're flying. Even the game that they lost, we just talked about it to your lot, John. You know, I thought they were really good that day.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure if they perform as they did against Forest on that day, they'll win 90% of the games. Unfortunately, they from their point of view, they lost that game, but it didn't then take away, did it? You know, they still went on, won the next game, and I looked at some of the counter-attack. Football that they played was like, it was textbook. But again, you know, they played with power, don't they, and pace, and you know, you see people running 60, 70 yards, not just with the ball, but to get into contact with people. So again, a team that's playing really well. They've won 4 of the last 5. You know, any team that wins 4 of the last 5 in the Premier League is going to be flying. And this is a game that Newcastle will look at and think, you know, if we can get something here, if we can beat Villa, you know, it's going to be like beating one of the form teams in the division at the moment.
Yeah, something I like that Morgan Rogers did against City was that he passed it to John Duran for that goal, because a lot of players who are playing well and have that confidence would have probably taken on that themselves, but recognising your teammates in a better position is probably something that's easier said than done when you're in that moment. That game, of course, live on the TalkSport app, then Newcastle versus Aston Villa. Craig Wakeling will have commentary in that one. The game that finished a little bit earlier on, of course, we were bringing you score updates as we started this show. Man City 1, Everton 1. That is a result now, a pretty good result for Everton, you'd normally say. Do you feel actually that Everton could have maybe hoped for a bit more given how Man City are playing at the moment? Because, I mean, they didn't look like the worst team. It looked pretty even to me from what I saw.
Well, I think Everton at the moment, if you're looking at defensive strategy and talent, you know, they're up there. He really is getting his message over.
Yeah.
In terms of, you know, not conceding, conceded only 2 or 3 in the last 9 now, I think it is, John. That's being really solid. You know, and they've lost only 2 of the last 14. So they're a team that are really starting to move in the right direction. I still can't get over Manchester City. It really is incredible. A run like this comes, what has he had, 499 games now, Pep Guardiola. And I think once they scored, me and Alex were down in the press room at Chelsea, once they scored, you think, well, you know, the problem for Everton is scoring goals, and, you know, they can keep clean sheets, but can they score goals? And they've got themselves back level. But everything that can go wrong is going wrong, and I'm looking at world-class players, and not just there. And sometimes you'll get like 2 players in a team that they're slightly off it, and the other 8 or 9 will cover it. You won't notice it in the overall performance of the team. But very rarely have I seen a world-class team line up, all, you know, 8, 9 of them all lose confidence at the same time. It's incredible, really. It's like the perfect storm in terms of lack of confidence.
It's a real drop-off, isn't it? I heard a lot of talk in the build-up with Sam Matterface over on TalkSport earlier on the way in about Kevin De Bruyne and the fact that he's on the bench and is he fit, and he only ended up playing 15 minutes today. Crookie, you might know a little bit more about this, but, you know, I've heard certainly that there's potential that he's leaving in January. I know he potentially nearly left in the summer. Could it be that he's not being used enough because there is something in the works? We've seen rumours of a move to America.
It's strange, isn't it, when you're a team like Manchester City and De Bruyne has been such a big part of their success, when you're all of a sudden struggling for form, you need your best players and your most influential players on the pitch. So the fact he's not using him in the starting lineup very often, I think, is quite telling. I wrote about this on my notebook, on the TalkSport website a few weeks ago. There is serious interest from the US, certainly from San Diego. I've heard Inter Miami mentioned as well. David Beckham's Inter Miami, and I think there is a chance that one of those moves could happen as early as January. Either way, there's a massive rebuild needed for Manchester City because there's players there that seem to be coming to the end of their top level career at the same time. You mentioned De Bruyne, Kyle Walker not in the squad today. I think his drop off probably started at the European Championships. Erling Haaland, having missed a penalty, all of a sudden looks human again, doesn't he? I'm not suggesting he's coming to the end. Bernardo Silva, I think, has wanted away for a few transfer windows, so it wouldn't surprise me if not only do we see some big name departures from Manchester City in the next few months, but they're going to go big in the market as well. I think Guardiola said before the game today, if they can, he'd like to sign 3 players in January, which is not usually the Manchester City way.
It'd be interesting to see if they cut their losses on Jack Grealish, which seems like a weird thing to say because we know he's a good player, but just kind of hasn't really worked out for him. So yeah, 1-1 was the final score in that game. Manchester City 1, Everton 1. Of course, the Sports Bar from 10 p.m. tonight. I know it seems like a long way away. We've got so much live football coming up, but that is the place to discuss the games later on. We'll take your calls from 10 p.m. I'm sure if you called up a bit earlier as well, they'll book you in, so they'll get you on nice and early. Loads of live football coming up on the TalkSport network. Then 5 live commentaries coming up, available on the TalkSport app from 3 p.m. Live commentary here on TalkSport 2 that we will look forward to more in just a second is Chelsea versus Fulham at Stamford Bridge.
Game day exclusive on TalkSport 2 with Sky Sports. Stream more Sky Sports football than ever before. Available with no contract on now. 18 plus, stream our internet, terms apply.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Sipping a morning coffee out on the terrace. Good morning, Mr. Squirrel.
Morning.
The kids building a treehouse in the garden.
I'm living my perfect childhood.
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
You could skydive out of a plane. Or swim with sharks. You might even skinny dip in icy cold waters. Or you could get that inexpressible high, that guaranteed rush from finding just the thing you wanted, the thing you needed, at a great sale price. IKEA Winter Sale now on. IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
You don't just check in to a village hotel. You work out, you jump in, you play on, you tuck in, and drink up. Village Hotels, 33 locations with everything under one roof. A huge gym with pool and great membership opportunities. And a buzzing pub and grill with delicious food, ice-cold beers and live sport. Check out villagehotels.com and work out, stay, meet and play.
Sack the gaffer. You need thesun.co.uk. Bagged a big move? Check out thesun.co.uk.
Oh, come on, Ralph!
Never a pen? Read thesun.co.uk. Seen red? See thesun.co.uk. Whatever's going on in the game, whenever you want it, wherever you are, from goals to gossip and everything football, it's got to be thesun.co.uk.
The Screwfix sale is now on and it's huge! Save a huge £30 on the DeWalt 18-volt inflator cordless, now just $19.99. And grab the aluminium 6-step platform ladder for only $59.99, saving you a huge 10%. Sale ends 5th of January. It's huge. Delivery fees may apply. Subject to availability. See screwfix.com for full T's and C's.
Did you know you can order McDelivery deals? Like the Feed the Family deal for just $14.99. That's 4 selected burgers, 2 medium fries and 2 small fries. Who's in then?
Oh, yeah, me.
And me. McDelivery. You in? Delivery only from 11 a.m. 4 times selected burgers, 4 times selected fries. Subject to availability. Price, delivery fee and participation may vary.
Game day exclusive on TalkSport 2 with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise has vans of all shapes and sizes. So if you've got a plan, we've got a van.
Game day. Feel the passion and the pride of the Premier League.
What a turn, what a goal!
Game day exclusive. Boxing Day special on TalkSport 2.
This is Game Day exclusive here on TalkSport 2. Chelsea versus Fulham is our first of 3 exclusive commentaries coming up here on TalkSport 2 this afternoon. A Premier League clash in West London, and Alex Crook has the team news.
It's just the one change for Chelsea from the side that were held at Everton last time out. Malo Gusto returns from suspension, so Axel Disasi drops to the bench. Sanchez is the Chelsea goalkeeper. It's a back 4 of Gusto, Tosin, Colwill and Cucurella. Caicedo and Fernandes deepest in midfield, with Pedro Neto, Palmer and Sancho in behind Nicholas Jackson in attack. As for Fulham, well, they make 5 changes from the side that drew 0-0 with Southampton. Unfortunately for the visitors, Emil Smith-Rowe still sidelined by injury, so he isn't one of the players who come in. Anderson, Lukic, Pereira, Jimenez and Traore are those reinstated to the starting lineup. Leno is the goalkeeper. We think it will be a back 3 this afternoon. Bassi, Anderson and Diop, Robinson and Castagna the wing-backs, Lukic and Pereira in midfield, with Iwobi and Traore either side of Jimenez in attack.
Thanks, Alex. Alongside Alex is Alvin Martin. It feels like Emil Smith-Rowe is a player that could be a huge miss for Fulham. It feels like to me like this would be a game that he would be very up for.
Well, yeah, I think, you know, and if there is something within the Fulham lineup, you know, in terms of the squad as well, it's a prolific scorer. You know, there's somebody who's going to get you 10, 15 goals a season. Jimenez had a little run where it looked like it was going to happen for him. Munez, there's another player that last season you think, is he going to be able to carry that form into this season? That hasn't happened. So they're a little lacking. Sometimes I see them play some really good football, great chances, and end up losing the game by the odd goal. So it is a problem for Fulham. There will be certainly somebody that has improved that side of his game, but it's still not up to the level, you know, that maybe Fulham would want. And I think, you know, we were talking about it before we came up here, John. Some of these teams now that are in the Premier League, you know, that you would have classed, you know, I don't mean this disrespectful, as all sovereigns or happy to survive in the Premier League. There's a little cluster of them now that have got ambition, and they approach the game in a completely different way. But the one thing that I think will always separate the real big hitters in the Premier League from the also-rans, if you forgive the term, it's those forwards that can come up with the, you know, magical moments that the ordinary players can't. And obviously the top 4 or 5 clubs can spend more money on that, you know, that 5-star. Like, you look at Palmer today. You know, if Chelsea struggle at one moment in a game, it can turn it on his head because he's such a talented player. And Fulham don't really possess that sort of quality. What they do, they have a coach that knows how to get the best out of them as a unit. And they will come here today and they'll play adventurous football. And you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see them create good chances. It's whether they can stick the chances away when they come. And that will be the difference, I think, and the edge that Chelsea will have over Fulham.
Yeah, it feels like Fulham have never really replaced Alexander Mitrovic. You know, he was fairly handy at finding the back of the net back in the day when they were kind of, again, I don't want to disrespect anyone, but overachieving for what Fulham's aims were at that point that he was there. I've been impressed with Anthony Robinson, actually. He's the captain, and he's kind of put in some good performances recently. Always kind of impressed with Alex Iwobi on that side, as well, as you've kind of mentioned as well. With Calvin Bassey, you know, he is an intimidating figure, isn't he, in the back for Fulham?
Well, I've seen him play about 4 years ago, I think. When he first went, he was, you know, we didn't know too much about him. Yeah. But I remember seeing him at Craven Cottage, and I was really impressed with his physicality. He had power and pace, and he was aggressive. You wouldn't want to play against him, let's put it that way, John. No. You know, I think if you're a, you know, wide right player, you don't want to go up against him one-on-one, because he wants to get right onto your toes and put you under pressure. Knock the ball past him and he's quick. But what he also, I think, is added to his game, and that's, you know, something that maybe Silva's worked on. He's got a lot more quality around the final third now. When I see him move forward, he's not just getting into the edge of the opposition box and putting balls in that are hopeful. There's a lot more thought and precision in what he does. So outside of, you know, I feel he's a top 4 club player. And he's certainly, you know, when you look at left backs and right backs in the Premier League, in the world, I don't think there are that many complete. I think you'll get a fullback sometimes that is good going forward, but not great defensively. You'll get a fullback maybe that is, you know, the other way around. I think Cucurella at Chelsea is another one. He's a complete fullback. He can defend one-on-one, and when you get him forward, he will deliver in an attacking sense as well. And they're really hard to come by, so I think Robinson's in that bracket.
It's going to be interesting to see how Jadon Sancho can maybe come up against those two this afternoon. We'll listen out for that one. Now, though, it's time to get an odds update with William Hill.
In the Zone on TalkSport 2 with William Hill. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
And Ben Barrett joins us. It's going to be an interesting one for Fulham. They've not won in the league at Stamford Bridge since '79, and they've never won a Premier League game at Stamford Bridge. So what are the odds looking like this afternoon for Chelsea versus Fulham?
Well, as you might expect, Chelsea are pretty warm favourites. 1 to 2 favourites. A win would put them within just a point of Liverpool at the top of the table for a couple of hours at least. A win for Fulham, 5 to 1 in the betting, puts them level on points with Manchester City. Who thought we'd be saying that on Boxing Day? 5 to 1 for an away win. The draw is 7 to 2. Fulham have done a lot of drawing recently, including against good sides. They've got a point out of Arsenal, a point out of Liverpool, and a point out of Spurs as well. I do think it's worth noting that both teams to score is a play here. It's slightly unusual that both teams are coming off the back of 0-0 draws, but prior to that, each team for their previous 5 fixtures had seen both teams score. I think ticking the yes box there at 8 to 13 is a real play. In terms of goal scorer markets, a reminder that Impact Sub is on your side here, so if you want to back Cole Palmer to score at any time, he's 19 to 20 to do so. If he doesn't and is substituted off, whoever comes on for him will keep your bet running for you. Cole Palmer 19 to 20, Nicholas Jackson 21 to 20 to score at any time. For the visitors, Raul Jimenez leads the betting 12 to 5 in the betting for him. Alex Iwobi's been in the headlines for his charitable exploits over the Christmas period. He's 4 to 1 to hit the headlines for his goal scoring exploits here. And a shout out for Andreas Pereira, who got one of those goals against Liverpool. He is 5 to 1 to find the net again at any stage. I don't think this is completely cut and dry, but the betting does suggest a fairly comfortable home win for Chelsea.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much, Ben. That was today's odds update with William Hill. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
In the Zone on TalkSport 2 with William Hill. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
We are 10 minutes away from kick-off in our first live and exclusive commentary here on TalkSport 2 this afternoon. We'll get into the other two very, very soon, but next up we will have the last remaining moments as we build up to the big game in the Premier League. It's Chelsea versus Fulham. It's exclusive to TalkSport 2.
Game day exclusive with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Rent from the best lineup in the UK. Enterprise has 450 branches with all the vehicles your business needs.
$1.39 at McDonald's gets you a delicious cheeseburger. $1.39 at a concert gets you... Test. McDonald's Saver Menu. Actually get your money's worth. From 11 a.m. Price and participation may vary. Price varies on delivery, subject to availability.
Hey, is your Aunt June still coming to Christmas dinner?
Yep, and her new boyfriend.
I'll get the extra chair.
And his daughter.
Oh, and some plates.
Plus her boyfriend. And his 2 mates, their girlfriends, their neighbours, their second cousins, twin sisters, the mailman, Glenn from down the road, his primary school teacher, my personal trainer, his dog, his accountant Bill, and that lady I met on the bus.
We're going to need to go to IKEA.
From extra plates to bedding and everything in between. Get guests ready.
Oh, and Grandma's staying over.
IKEA, the wonderful everyday.
You don't just check in to a village hotel. You work out. You jump in. You play on. You tuck in. And drink up. Village Hotels. 33 locations with everything under one roof. A huge gym with pool and great membership opportunities. And a buzzing pub and grill with delicious food, ice-cold beers and live sport. Check out villagehotels.com and work out, stay, meet and play.
Football is back and it's game on. Get the ultimate football coverage with the Sun's free pull-out goals. With the best writers pitchside for in-depth match reports, it's all about goals. And with unrivaled news from the Premier League to League Two, it has to be goals! Stay up to date on all the latest football action. Get your free copy of Goals every Saturday, Sunday and Monday, only in The Sun.
The Screwfix sale is now on, and it's big! Save a big £15 on the Gold Screw Trade Pack, now only $19.99. And grab the Stanley Organiser for just $9.99, saving you a big £10. Hurry, the sale must end on the 5th of January. It's big. Delivery fees may apply, subject to availability. See screwfix.com for full T's and C's.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Watching the big game, cozied up in the snug. Balmy summer nights with the kids playing on the lawn.
We're playing real-life football!
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of April 2024 and 30th of June 2024 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
Game day exclusive on TalkSport 2 with Sky Sports. Stream more Sky Sports football than ever before. Available with no contract on now. 18 plus, stream our internet, terms apply.
Game day.
Big ticket Premier League football you can't afford to miss.
And it's in!
The biggest and best football on the radio.
Game day exclusive. Boxing Day special on
TalkSport 2.
This is TalkSport 2 Game Day exclusive. I'm John Jackson. Kick-off minutes away. Chelsea versus Fulham in the Premier League. You've also got Bournemouth versus Crystal Palace, Newcastle versus Villa, Nottingham Forest against Tottenham, and Southampton versus West Ham, available on the TalkSport app. And also coming up later on, Wolves Manchester United in the 5:30, Liverpool versus Leicester in the 8. And we've also got 2 games in the Championship exclusive to TalkSport 2 with Derby versus West Brom at 5:30 and Stoke versus Leeds rounding things off at 8 before we get your calls on the sports bar from 10. Let's hear now from Fulham manager Marco Silva. They're missing a number of key players ahead of today's game, including Emile Smith-Rowe, but he says they won't panic and make a knee-jerk reaction into the January transfer window.
This moment of the season just shows us that, and it's something that I took the decision, the way we like to work as well, to not have a big squad, to have a normal size squad, if I can call in this way, with some young players around the team every single time and to work with us. The examples, of course, Luke de Frugis, that is injured out now, but Josh King and Marshall, they are good examples of it. It's a decision, of course, when you have this type of moments, then when you have 3-4 players that they are injured, and 2 at least with long-term, plus there is only 3 long-term injuries, and of course other situations that can happen, like Sander Berg or Sasha Lukic or Sasha Lukic's previews as well, is create a different scenario for us. And of course you are looking for the squad, and if you have to do something, to add something for certain areas of the pitch, we are going to work on it, and probably it's going to be important, but it's not the most important right now. The important is they are the games that we have ahead of us, and to be focused on that.
Alvin Martins alongside Alex Crook for commentary in just a second. Alvin, how disappointed is Marcus Silva going to be with that goalless draw at home to Southampton last time? Because they are unbeaten in their last 5 games, and that maybe felt like a missed opportunity, and I know that he shared that opinion.
Yeah, that's right. I think, as well as they've been playing and going unbeaten, they need to win those tight games. It goes back to what I said early on, John. Jimenez got 1 in his last 9. Smith-Rowe, 1 in his last 11. Wilson, another good player, 3 in 15. Iwobi has probably got 5 Premier League goals. Muniz, who looked like he was going to be an answer, he's not really been scoring this year. So the firepower stakes is certainly somewhere that they win them games against Southampton, because they dominate the game. Southampton really don't give them too many problems in terms of making their goalkeeper make saves, but I'm still left with a point. But I'm still looking at his bench today and thinking it's not bad. You think of Fulham, he's saying that he's got injury problems. He's got Harry Wilson on the bench today, Muniz on the bench, Tom Kearney. I know Josh King is somebody that everyone feels that he's with the manager has got a bright future. So there's not a bad squad. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's certainly, when you think about Fulham putting out a starting 11 and having those players on the bench, it's not an unhealthy position.
Absolutely not. Harry Wilson, we know, can score a goal from long range, short range, or from set pieces, so yeah, he could have a part to play a little bit later on, but the teams are on their way out. It's live game day exclusive coverage of Chelsea versus Fulham here on TalkSport 2 alongside Alvin Martin. It's your lead commentator this afternoon, Alex Crook.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon, everybody. It is a grey but surprisingly mild Boxing Day and a West London derby, and a meeting of two of the contenders for Premier League Manager of the season so far. Chelsea was seen by many as a laughing stock when Enzo Maresca walked through the door, but a win here will take them to within a point at the top of the table for a few hours at least. Marco Silva's Fulham, meanwhile, have lost half as many games as Tottenham, 3 fewer than Manchester United, and if they were to record a rare victory in this fixture, they would find themselves level on points, would you believe, with crumbling champions Manchester City. Alvin Martin, it all adds up to an intriguing showdown between these two near neighbours.
Yeah, look, I'm looking forward to the game because obviously the stakes are high. Chelsea need to win games like this if we're to take them seriously. Fulham have come with a new identity, a real vibrance. And look, the game should be played, and in my opinion, and a lot of people might not agree, but the game's all about entertainment, Alex. And these two teams will entertain us today. Whether it's a 0-0 or it's a 3-3, we'll see some good football, that's guaranteed.
There is a giant flag currently being passed between the fans in the lower tier of the Matthew Harding stand away to our right. It reads London's first, London's finest, pride of London, and certainly Maresca in his short tenure has put pride back in that Chelsea badge. They make one change this afternoon from the team held to a 0-0 draw against Everton at Goodison last time out. Balagusto returns from a ban, so Axel Disasi makes way. Chelsea are going to line up with Sanchez in goal, a back four of Gusto, Tosin, Colwill and Cucurella, Caicedo and Fernandes in front of them. They've been such a good partnership in recent weeks and months. It's Pedro Neto, Palmer and Sancho behind Nicholas Jackson leading the line in attack. 5 changes for Fulham after their frustrating goalless draw at home to struggling Southampton. Anderson, Lukic, Pereira, Jimenez and Traore are the players who come in. No place in the squad for Emile Smith-Rowe. He's still sidelined by a leg injury, so Leno is the goalkeeper. It'll be a back 3 this afternoon of Bassi, Anderson and Diop, Robinson and Castagna the wing backs, with Lukic and Pereira in midfield, and Iwobi and Traore either side of Jimenez in attack. Remember, this is one of 10 live commentaries on the TalkSport network this afternoon, 8 of them from the Premier League, and Chelsea hope to cut that gap to just a single point to Liverpool with victory in a fixture they nearly always win. It will be Fulham to get us underway here on TalkSport 2. White shirts, black shorts, black socks. They're shooting from left to right in this first half, defending the goal where the travelling fans have made that short journey across West London. Chelsea in their blue shirts and shorts, white socks, and we are about to get underway on this Boxing Day. And it's Joachim Andersen who hoists the ball forward towards the Chelsea penalty area. Brought down neatly by Raul Jimenez, back leading the line today after starting on the bench against Southampton as Marco Silva shuffled his pack. Colwill there, back tussling the ball on this for the ball on this near side. In the end, it's Adama Traore who comes in and pokes it out for a Chelsea throw. 0-0, and we've played 25 seconds.
Well, there are going to be some battles, individual battles all over the pitch, Alex, but I'm really looking forward to seeing Traore against Cucurella. Now, at the moment, he's pushing on Cucurella. He's really trying to play advanced, and they will try and push both fullbacks really into forward positions. But it looks like Fulham are going to come here. They're going to press the ball as well. So, I think it's a battle between the two systems as well that we've got here that we'll watch unfold. Obviously, the wing backs of Fulham and the 3 centre-halves. You don't want to just sit back with a back 5, otherwise you're just going to give the possession back to the opposition. So which one of them wins out as well?
Brilliant noise being made by those travelling Fulham fans. You may have heard one or two boos there as Alvin was speaking. They were aimed at Tosin, former Fulham defender, now at the heart of the Chelsea defence. He of course let his contract run out at Craven Cottage and made that switch on a free transfer in the summer. Here is Sasa Lukic in midfield for Fulham, plays it up to Iwobi on the halfway line. He was looking to play in Robinson, didn't get to him first time round, then Robinson has to scamper to try and keep the ball in play. He can't do that, and Chelsea have a throw. He has been such a threat, Anthony Robinson, down that left-hand side this season. He's the first Fulham defender to get 2 assists in a single Premier League game. He did that recently. He's got 6 already this season, Anthony Robinson. It was 2 assists in that 2-2 draw at Liverpool a couple of weeks ago. Chelsea clear the ball upfield. Jackson beaten in the air by Bassi. And he's brought down in the home half by Bassi once again. Back to Joachim Andersen. Reinstated as part of that back three that Alvin has been talking about, and now Bernd Leno, all in yellow, away to our left, has the ball at his feet. 3 minutes gone, 0-0, no chances as yet, but Fulham pass to get around confidently, Alvin Martin.
Yeah, you can see that, you know, even when they're under pressure, this is good play. They've been able to get the ball up to the Wolves. It's just been dispossessed by Gusto. It's a really good football match.